I'd like to call the select board meeting to order on March 19th at 6 o'clock. Are there any additions to or deletions from the posted?
I just have one. We're gonna not have a vote on the Village Conservancy tree planting plan and instead have a overview of the Conservancy's plan for the next year or so. I'd ask if that could be first in a discussion.
Do any of the select board members have additions or deletions? No.
I don't know.
Great. Next, we have citizens' comments, and we limit that to 3 minutes. I want to say I'm really pleased with the amount of people we have in the room. We usually speak to 3. So this is great. It's going to take a little adjusting for us to get used to it. So bear with us. When the period of citizens' comments is for you to tell us something that's not already on the agenda. So if you want to speak to something that's on the agenda, you can do that later when we reach that item. We ask that you raise your hand either physically for those in the room or electronically for those on Zoom. I think we'll try to alternate in between room and Zoom. Be aware we have a really full agenda, so we are going to try to not, we certainly don't want to limit citizens' comments, but if what you want to say has been said before, maybe you can just say you agree. If you're in the room, please come up to the table. You'll have to push the center button on the microphone until it's green. For some reason, with our new technology, we are still working it out, but only one microphone works at a time. So just make sure your button is green when you talk. Does anybody else have anything to add before we start with citizens' comments? Nope. Okay. Does anyone have a citizen's comment? Yes. You'll have to come all the.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, certainly. Great. Yeah, I'm Susan Ford. I'm the chair of the select board.
I'm Laura Powell. I'm the vice chair of the select board.
Ray Bourgeois.
Cliff Johnson, select board.
Thank you.
And our 5th member, Norm Freitas, is in the air flying back from a trip, so could not be here. Okay, any comments? Okay. Do you want me to start the timer? Yeah.
Green.
And we are going to give you like a 30-second warning.
Don't worry, I take 30 seconds. I have heard that you members of the select board.
I'm sorry, I neglected to tell you to please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Peggy Fraser and I live in Woodstock Village. I have heard that some of you on the select board feel that there's great community support for what is happening in Woodstock because nobody ever comes to any meetings. I might say that a lot of people that used to come to meetings have found that you come to meetings, the public comments are basically ignored. Many questions go unanswered, and then you have a lot of executive retreats, so you kind of leave uninformed. So it's not that people are in agreement with everything you're doing, it's that we do not feel we have a voice. Thank you.
Next, anyone on Zoom, if you can.
Sally Gammon has her hand up.
Okay, Sally?
Did you unmute me? I would like to ask when you present the budget to please do line items on items that are over budget for this time, for this month, and items that are under, and give an explanation to the community why they are over or under. Thank you.
Sally? In the room?
Oh, be polite, but I'll step up. Is that working? It's green?
Yes.
All right, thanks. I'll sit for a second. So I want to bring up about the water department. You said the bills went out. I've heard some people have not received those bills. So I know you're not answering my questions or comments. I want to bring up the fact that also the Vondel will be discussed tonight. So when we originally talked about putting some of the aqueduct purchase price onto residential who could not access that water department, that if we received grants and such, that would be deducted from the bond. So if we could follow up on that tonight, that would be great. Under the Vondell section, you should be able to answer that questions. And I want to bring up a comment, I guess, in a sense of, it seems like there's been a narrative that the town has been neglectful for the last 40 years. We haven't kept up with our infrastructure, and that's what we're doing now. But it seems to me, since I've lived in Woodstock since 96, we built a nice new town garage. We have a nice emergency service building, and other things went on too. Private fundraising, built the Stafford Commons that addressed affordable housing. The Woodstock Aqueduct purchase fell into your lap. That wasn't anything you did. I mean, it's something that you're going to do, but you haven't really followed up on that. You haven't even set new rates yet. Part, I believe you're going to, when you send out the water bills that have not been sent out, even though you said they were sent out, are still the same rates as the Woodstock Aqueduct was charging. The finance committee came in front of you and said, this is what we need to raise the funds. You haven't raised funds. You haven't collected in 9 months. Where is the operating budget for the water department coming from? Are you taking from other parts of the budget? Are you being creative with numbers? When is that new rate system going to come out? When are you going to discuss it? I mean, buying something that was just given to you basically is easy. Now running the business is the hard part. We gave you the money to buy it. Where's the effort? And I know some of you are new on here and some are going to be leaving soon. Where's the effort for that? Why hasn't that been done? I mean, where are we at for the pipe? We were promised a pipe under the Elm Street Bridge was going to be done by now. Have we done anything? Thank you. Has anything been done with replacing the pipe out of the reservoir up by the Vondell property? Where are we with the new tank that's supposed to be on Mount Tom, basically? Have you started talking with the federal government at all about that? I mean, buying that business was easy. We gave you the money that was handed to you. Running that business is the hard part. So I'd like to know when that's going to start. And I understand you can't answer that right now, but in the future, let's have the water department come forward. Thank you. Oh, and I didn't identify myself. Peter Shoemaker, Woodstock. Sorry. That was here. That's all right.
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Anyone else in the room? Managers update and finance. Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is Barbara Otranto, and I've been living in Woodstock quite a number of years. I live in the town, and apparently, from what I've heard, you've taken from town funds to pay for village expenses. And I don't think that that's a correct thing to do. I don't know if it's true, but if it is, taking from one entity to pay bills for another doesn't sit well with me, especially since my taxes are so high. That's all I want to say.
So Leslie online.
Leslie?
Yeah, thank you for recognizing me. My name is Leslie Watts. I'm a resident of Woodstock. I've just also heard conversation that the select board does not think that the residents of Woodstock disagree with how you're portraying our town. I just want to be very clear. I absolutely disagree as a taxpayer that your continued pursuit of a very simple HR process and the potential fiscal risk that you are bringing this entire town into. We're going to the Vermont Supreme Court again, and we're gonna, I guess we're gonna pay $5 to $12 million, but however that turns out, you're subjecting this population to that fiscal risk without really any conversation, any two-way conversation. It's very distressing to be a member of the town with those type of business and community ethics. That's my first point. My second point is I'm wondering how you would like official feedback. Is are are we supposed to be posting in the listserv, or is there a form on the town website where we can fill out and officially voice our opinions about how our tax money is spent, or how you are representing us as select board members? How do you want that feedback? The communication plan for the town is not clearly articulated. I don't know how to give you the feedback that you would perhaps even recognize. That's all I can say. Thank you.
There's a Nancy online as well there.
Let's go ahead. No one else is in the room. Nancy, on Zoom?
I'm here. This is Nancy Barr in South Woodstock. And I have just a list of things that normally I don't get too involved because things seem to run pretty smoothly. I'm a little concerned about Ray. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, Beaugenet or whatever, that he's still on the select board. I understand he's sold his home and will be leaving. The other thing is the town, they're talking about the merger with the town paying for sewer and water, which I don't see how that can be feasible. The police department is a mess. Also this winter, I have handicap plates on my car. I went into town to go to the bank and none of the parking spaces were plowed at all. I couldn't even get out of my car with a handicap plow. And anyway, so that was one of my concerns that I happened to come up with. The other thing is we vote you people in and you haven't done squat as far as I'm concerned. The raise for the town manager was totally out of line. I mean, none of us around here have ever seen that kind of money in a job. And the fact with 6 weeks vacation, I worked at the VA for 12 years and I never had a vacation like that. And I made maybe a quarter of that kind of money. So anything, the whole town's a mess. It's ridiculous. And I used to be proud of saying I was from Vermont and proud of being in the town that my husband was brought up in. And I can't say that anymore. And I'm very thankful that my daughters both have good paying jobs. Unfortunately, one had to move to Virginia to get that. My other has to work from home and she works for Keurig, which used to be in Vermont, now out of Texas. And she was lucky to keep her job here. If I had kids now, I'd have to recommend that they leave Woodstock and they leave Vermont. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Short and to the point, we have our problems. This is not that bad of a mess. Every town goes through problems. This is still a great place to live. Vermont's still a great place to live. So, okay.
Online, Marianne Sweeney.
Marianne?
Marianne, if you're so mute.
You have to just unmute. There you
Okay.
go.
You can hear me? All right. There seems to be a common misconception about public comments not being addressed by the select board members in meetings. And I don't think many people realize that in order for an item to be discussed, it must appear on the meeting agenda. But there's no information on the town's website about how to get an item on the agenda, which only contributes to the confusion. The Vermont League of Cities and Towns has recently published a template that addresses this issue. And I'm quoting, VLCT's How to Get an Item on the Select Board Meeting Agenda template can be used by select boards to help establish a clear, transparent, and predictable process for getting items on the meeting agenda, which is essential for effective governance. by clearly explaining who may request agenda items, how requests are submitted, and when they are due. The template reduces confusion for board members, staff, and residents alike. This clarity helps prevent misunderstandings, frustration, and the perception that decisions are being made informally or behind the scenes. Equally important, the template reinforces transparency and fairness in public engagement. Residents and community groups are clearly told how to bring issues forward and what to expect after making a request. When requests cannot be scheduled immediately, the expectation of an explanation helps maintain trust and accountability. I strongly urge the Select Board to make use of this tool and post it on the board website. If you want citizens to participate in local government, you need to give them the tools to do so. In order to reach as many citizens as possible with this information, I will post this to the listserv and submit it as a letter to the editor in the Standard. Thank you.
We have someone else online, but is there anyone else in the room? Yes.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Clement. I live here in Woodstock, and I've been posting and reading and looking at everything on listservs. I've been to meetings online, and I guess the piece for me, I'm new here. I've only been here for a few years, and been a resident full-time for 2, and bought our condo a few years before. But we came here because we thought this was a great place. We used to live in Kennebunkport, Maine, and people said, "Oh, you're going from one hallmark town to another." And that was why we chose here. We've been coming here for years. We have family here. I have a granddaughter, daughter. And when I was in Maine, I came to many of the meetings and stood up and talked about different things that were happening. Been very, very concerned about Woodstock and what's happening here. But the biggest piece for me that I don't understand, whether it's on listserv or it's here, is that I feel like, and I went to the annual meeting, that this is what we get when we ask questions. And thank you for asking that question. I'm sorry. Oh, and I guess what I don't understand, and I mean, I think I just heard part of it, is these are real questions as big taxpayers. And when we talk about homestead, we talk about, the salary that is so outrageous. And we have so many very important issues that it's hard to even look at what the big picture is when there's so many of these little things. And I guess I want to know, why are these not being answered? Why is it that every single day I open up listserv, and it seems to be a pretty, I don't think is it the best way? No, but it's a way that I feel like there's a lot of very important issues that have come up. I think Allison Taylor has written and detailed and researched, and I don't think any of the things that she talks about is inappropriate. But I feel like there's questions that they're just not getting answered. So when do they get answered? That's my question.
The one thing I should have explained.
So can you just say it to the mic?
Oh, sorry. The one thing I should have said in the beginning that I didn't, we have some protocols we're going to vote on today about meetings, and when we have citizens' comments, it's very hard for us to engage in a conversation about it because it hasn't been warned on our agenda. And so I am happy that Mary Ann brought up a point about how people can ask us to put things on the agenda. We meet 2 weeks before the meeting to set the agenda. The chair and the vice chair meet with Eric to do that. And so all of our emails addresses are on the town website. It's a great way to communicate with us. I think most of us answer or try to answer those emails, but we can't engage in a conversation in an open meeting like this because it hasn't been warned on an agenda. So the entire public doesn't know that subject is going for discussion.
Well, it seems interesting because again, these are questions that have been coming up for weeks, if not months at this point. So,
Do you want to end?
and I guess that I never hear answers to any of like the salary, the homestead and all of those things. It just doesn't get answered. And I know that there's issues, like residency and, somebody living in another state, all of those things. They're just so important. And
Bonnie, thanks for coming. I think Susan's point is, so usually I just want to say we're acting out of protocol by responding within the public comment section right now, but I do think it's important. The listserv is social media, and I need folks to understand that. It is not our business to fact check social media. So the best way to contact us is to come to these meetings. We just concluded a big public education campaign where we made ourselves available every week at coffee shops around town so that people could come talk to us about the water vote. We also just had town meeting in which I think we did answer every question that was posed to us at town meeting. We also have, if there's something you wanted, all right, but you didn't ask a question.
Other people did.
So that's the opportunity. That is the big opportunity. We start the budget process in September, October, November, December. That's when those conversations happen, and then goes all the way through January. After we get through this reorg, we have a new process where we sit through with joint boards and make goals for the fiscal year under our 4 objectives. Those are on the website and you can see those. And those are things that this board is actively working on. I'd be happy to send that out to the listserv and make sure everybody has access to that. We beg for feedback in that process so that we know what to prioritize, so that we don't waste meeting time. And also so we know what to advocate for, what to spend in the budget. That process goes through the summer. And again, it's something we call for public feedback on. As Susan said, we're really excited to see folks here, but if you're expecting to get answers from an official government board on social media, it's likely not going to happen. Please come here. Make yourselves available to come here or email us and ask us these questions. We're also issuing press releases, one of which explains the town manager's raise. Probably didn't see it, I'm guessing. But we want to be reflective of our community. We're all endeavoring to do that. That's why we have town meeting every year and there's opportunities to elect, we all serve on staggered terms. There's opportunity to change how the board is made up. And also we try to make ourselves, again, available. We did it for the water vote. We did it for the wastewater vote. We do it for the budgets every year to move around town and talk to folks. So if someone says to me and approaches me and says, I heard this and this and this, I have to ask, where did you hear it? Because I have no idea. And I have no idea what is out there, but I would love to help you get to the source of that information so we can work it out. And so that we're working here for you. But I can't.
It's good that you also use this listserv to get information out. So it's a valuable tool.
It is a valuable tool, but I do not think that it is, and Dave and I have this conversation. I saw Dave's here earlier. Our time is spent working in these meetings and delegating Eric, who serves at the pleasure of our board and the other board, what he should and his staff should spend time doing. Combing through the listserv or combing through Facebook or combing through Twitter can only give so many data points. Roger here, Carrie here, other folks who are here have been to every meeting and know that we want to hear from them and we want to hear from everybody. I would love for every meeting to be this packed so that we hear from you guys, honestly. But that's just, so this is your opportunity, as is town meeting, as is every public forum that we host, as is all of our emails. I send a newsletter every 2 months. I also do public access television for Woodstock Community Television. So when folks say that we're inaccessible, I really would like to understand, because I'm just not going to spend time running to the bottom of the listserv and getting into debates there. Cliff has made posts there with facts, and it's still doesn't seem to disseminate the way that. My question wasn't about whether listserv was the best way or not. It was, when do questions get answered that are asked repeatedly? Yeah, and that was my question. And I don't know. I think everybody's here tonight probably for the same reason, is we just want answers that aren't being given. And so I just feel like there's got to be at least some opportunity. And I know you've just described many of them. And I've emailed you twice, Bonnie, and not gotten a response. I only got one today. I just got it today. Okay. About an hour ago. All right. Well, I hope we can have a chance to engage in conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go online next to Lisa.
I gotta, that's on me.
Okay.
Lisa, we can't hear you if you're trying to speak. Lisa, we still can't hear you.
We aren't getting you.
Want to move to someone else?
Yep. How about Wendy? Leslie already spoke. I think her hand's still up. Wendy Marinan? You have to unmute.
There we go. Yeah, that was confused by the message. Hi, Wendy Marinan. I live in the village of Woodstock. I'm excited to see so many people attending both online and in person. I have been a fairly regular attendee of these meetings, both the trustee and the select board, and I find it is the best way to stay informed. I really encourage people to do it this way. I would like to suggest that both the village trustees and the select board and the staff really take a hard look at whether the listserv should be even used by our municipality. I will say that I have chosen to unsubscribe because I can't stomach the tenor. And it is social media, and I don't think it should be an official government platform. So I'd like that to be discussed in a future meeting. Thank you.
Roger?
Don't forget to tap the
button. Yes. My name is Roger Logan, Woodstock. I just want to say that I frankly find it fairly shocking that this board and this town management have been accused of not doing anything. These are volunteers. I know that they all work, they've worked hundreds of hours on things like getting a sewer bond passed, working on the water system. Nothing about this town is perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect. And the town should not be using the listserv as a way of getting to what people need, because there are many other avenues to get to what people need. If you want to talk to any of these people, it's not that hard. A lot of people I know have unsubscribed from the listserv because it's not useful. It's like a lot of social media. It's unvetted and anybody can say anything they want to. Thank you.
Online, Susan, online.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? I'm going to.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you. My name is Susan Newberg and I live in the village. I am highly offended by the remarks of some of the, whoever you are on the select board today, as well as some of my other residents of the town who can sit and say with a straight face that everything is fine and there is ample opportunity for comment and feedback. We chose Woodstock as our second home almost 10 years ago. We thought we'd make it our first home and have somewhat reservations about that now. But I can't tell you how grateful I am to people like Allison Taylor, Marianne Sweeney, Kuhuri, people who, John Spector, who take their time and do thorough research and present facts that we would never, ever, ever know from our elected officials or town manager. So thank you very much. And Bonnie, thank you very much for having the courage to be abused twice in 1 month, because I saw the last time somebody tried to say something in front of this committee and they were treated so poorly, it broke my heart. My comment as a citizen is, in light of this fact that the listserv is social media, I suggest our elected town officials think twice about the next lawsuit that our town manager, Eric Duffy, is stirring on the listserv as it relates to the Homestead Declaration. Because 50 to 60% of all our residents are second homeowners who basically, we do pay our taxes. We don't get to vote. We don't get to serve on elected committees and the like. Unlike residents who do sit on committees, who get all the benefits and don't file a homestead declaration. Yet the listserv is being used by our town manager to say he is going to come after all property owners and assess a 3% penalty if the tax and form is not filed by April 15th. Guess what, Eric? Go see a lawyer, because all property owners are deemed to be homesteaders. It's only when you're a non-homesteader that you file a form. So you go after those who have not filed a form for 3%, but don't look to make up your salary from those of us who don't have to file a form. And it's a really poor PR point to go like that public with ignorance of the law is no excuse. Ignorance of somebody who we are paying a gazillion dollars to is a laughing embarrassment. That's my comment. No need to reply.
Thank you.
Oh, they're clapping for me. They're clapping for me. They're clapping.
Anyone in the room? Are we doing repeats?
No.
I think if we are really short on time, so if you've already spoken, we're going to ask. Yeah, didn't you? No.
Just asking.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yep. I told you have to bear with us. We're not used to this many people.
It's representative government.
Okay, well, at least I got to, was I okay or a crazed lunatic?
You may want to mute. You got to press the button.
I'm Kay Travers. I live in Woodstock. I've lived here for 39 years. I'm following up on Bonnie's comments. She asked questions. How do you get answers? You didn't answer how you get answers. We got a lot of static. You do press releases, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. We are here tonight. It would be nice to have some engagement. That's when I used to serve on a board here for many years. And when we had a citizen comment, you engaged with them. It isn't, oh my God, you've got to put it on. You know, that's all. You're hiding behind all of this. We need some engagement in this community. She asked a very legitimate question. You chose not to answer it. But what you should have at least said, well, we can't answer it today. We will answer it in 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But there is no engagement here. And it is very, very discouraging for this community. Thank you.
I guess we'll try Lisa online one more time and then hopefully have exhausted.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Lisa, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to make some comments. My name's Lisa Sullivan, and I live in Woodstock. And we moved up here about 10 years ago from the great state of Texas. I grew up in the Northeast, went to school in Boston, fell in love with Woodstock in the 1980s, and I'm just so happy to be here. And throughout the past 9, 10 years that we've been here,
We've built a community with loving and caring neighbors. I've met some wonderful people, and I am just disheartened. I'm sad from what I'm witnessing at this board meeting. My career was in high-tech recruitment, and I had my own business for many years. And I'm just seeing a lack of leadership. The body language at this board table that I'm looking at, it's sad. You're not really engaging. There's a defensiveness, a wall that is like us and you. And until we recognize this, I don't think anything's going to change. I know that there are ways to contact you, but just looking at you through the video and seeing your body language, especially you, Mr. Eric Duffy, is sad. You need to be more engaged with the community. You need to listen. Some of the points have been very valid. And that's just a comment. I want to make sure that Woodstock remains the loving, kind, open community without so much anger that we're definitely feeling in this room tonight, even though I'm not there. So anyway, I'm thankful to the people here, and I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Moving on.
There's a few more hands. I don't know if it's gonna be the same comments or something different.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Catherine and I don't.
Anyone in the room before I go back to the Zoom? So Catherine? Online?
Hi. Kate, namesake, grew up in Woodstock. And I only raised my hand because everything that Cliff said was muted and it looked really animated, and I just wanted to hear what was said. Yeah. Can't hear you. Sorry. I just Nope, nothing.
How about this?
Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Okay. All I said was that, but in a more animated way, probably, is that I've been in this role for 4 months. Anybody who's reached to me, I've offered to meet and have met many of those people. What anyone might say, we're not always going to agree. But I just find it hard to get blanket criticism from people who have not reached out to me at all. And it's fine. It's like, but no one ran against me, Susan, or Norm. So it's like, this is a thankless role that I think most people don't want. But I am very open to listening to everybody and making objective decisions and hard decisions. Ultimately, that's what we have to do. So I have the best interest of the community in mind. It's the first time I'm meeting many of the people in this room. So I would love to have a different dialogue that's more collaborative rather than one-way dialogue. So maybe I'm happy to host whatever forums make sense to do that moving forward. I just want to make sure, I don't think it's listserv, right? So I don't know, maybe there's another way we can get together in a way that's not as accusatory and built on attacking each other instead of working together. I mean, my day-to-day, I deal with things that are much harder than what we're dealing with in Woodstock. Work through, and I wish we'd do that together rather than in this manner. But that's all.
Hello? can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now? You're up, Mr. Larson.
Yeah, no, obviously I'm not Deirdre Larson. I'm just using her iPad because
She is here.
mine couldn't connect. Yeah, she's right next to me. A quick comment on the listserv. I think anybody who reads the listserv knows that most of it is just ordinary business. It's not really social media, as that term is used pejoratively. So, get a life, just live with it. It's got 4,000 people signed up to it, and it's a good communication tool. The real reason I'm talking is because I have a request that may help you. You're clearly in the midst of the Ray Bourgeois ambiguity thing, and his seat is apparently going to be open soon. And if you make the choice to have an election rather than just appoint his successor, I think it'll buy you some trust. And clearly from this meeting, you're in need of some trust. So that's all. I'm just advocating for democracy.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
Is this a new thing where you control the microphones so that we can't speak? Because I've been getting an inability to speak every time your microphones die, and I can't even alert you that I can't hear anything, and the chat is disabled as well. This is Nicholas Selden. I think you got some really serious issues with that. I think it's a violation of open meeting law, which I've brought to your attention repeatedly. Couple of things. First of all, I heard from Cliff Johnson a few moments ago that he has offered to meet with everybody that's reached out to him, and that he's willing to make the hard choices. That's nice lip service, but it's not true, because I have reached out to him repeatedly. He's never once invited me to meet with him. He's never once indicated any interest in the issues that I have presented to him. And when he was faced with a tough decision, which was Mr. Duffy's contract for $176,000 a year, instead of voting against it, he simply abstained, because he can't make the tough decisions. Just like you, Susan, you can't make the tough decisions either. None of us, or I shouldn't say none of us, many of us do not have faith in any of you. And as Laura has claimed, with the listserv being social media, it's easy for you to say that when the facts being disseminated on the listserv are really bad for you. Allison Taylor has spent an enormous amount of time, personal time, combing through business records, and she has shared truthful, accurate information that occasionally might have some twist to it because of the way you guys are doing things, through no fault of her own and no fault of our own. But for you to demean what she is doing, disseminating the information that you're refusing to do, is outrageous. And you are so arrogant, Laura and Eric, all of you are so arrogant as you sit here and you think that you're so approachable. You're not. You make snide little smiles. I see Laura shaking her head when I start speaking all the time and smirking. I mean, who wants to come before you? You're the most uninviting board there is, and you're corrupt. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room? Ed Esmond? Online?
Yes.
Oh, the hand went down. Sorry.
Okay. Hello. Yes, hello.
It's okay.
Yes.
Hello.
We're going to close citizens' comments and move on to management.
So a few things. As we discussed in the last meeting, the select board approved a bid for Elm Street Pipe for their environmental assessment. As anyone who's been coming to these meetings knows, the town received a $900,000 grant to go towards that project. But with that grant, it's federal money, so there's extra requirements that go along with using the grant, and one of them is an environmental assessment. So the project got pushed back about 6 months. So that bid has been approved. The vendor has been alerted. working on the contract with them. Once the contract is signed, that work will then be completed. The select board also approved 3 vendors to negotiate another bid for the new well and for the 1B project to do the new pipe from Clock Sticks Road all the way down to the rec center. So those will be happening in the next few weeks. I believe we're setting up interviews probably in 2 weeks from now to have those conversations with the water department. Per another comment that got made earlier, kind of fits in. The water bills have not been sent out. We never said they were sent out. The goal was to send them out by the end of March. It's probably going to be the first week of April now, just based on how we're processing all the reads. We're trying to be as accurate as possible, trying to make sure someone can't get read instead of just giving them the minimum. We're trying to reach out to them, talk to them, make sure we can get an accurate reading so everyone's being billed the same and it's fair. Just a note, the village held their village meeting this past week on Tuesday. All the articles passed overwhelmingly, so I want to thank everyone who came out and supported village meeting. I think we had about 35 people in the room, so thank you to them, the trustees, for working through that. Abby Sherman, who you'll hear from later on a few different topics, just got back from a housing conference in Baltimore. So she's bringing back some nice ideas on housing for Vermont from all the interactions she had for a few days down there. The new ambulance that we ordered, maybe even before I started or right before when I started, has been delivered, has been registered, and I believe either today or tomorrow will be his first day in service. So we're excited for that. They're just now training all the crews on it to make sure they're all aware of how it should operate. And then, ironic or not ironic, in the coming days, we're going to announce more public office hours for myself and staff. So we'll be out in the public. So people who have complaints or issues or concerns, or just want to share a cup of coffee with myself or staff, we'll have that up on the website in the coming days so people can participate that way if they want. That's all I have for my update. When it comes to that financial report, some things to highlight. And I'll back up for a second. We are now currently trying to put these reports online as soon as possible. I think the last one was maybe from a month ago, so we'll update it once accounts payable is updated from this week. So that'll be updated online for people to look at. Some things to highlight is revenue-wise, we are at a very good point. Get this right. We take out the taxes. So the first line you see on the financial report, the way we do accounting is once we send out the bills, we recognize the revenue that way. So that tax number is not accurate. But outside of that, we're exceeding all revenue expectations. So that's positive for the town. Some of the things to mention when it comes to the budget is when we talked about this last month and a half ago, we were trending very high on the dispatch salaries, and that was due to us being short-staffed and training a new should end in a surplus in the dispatch department this year or close to it. The other thing to highlight that is an ongoing concern that we're monitoring is ambulance and fire budgets. As we know, we're short one full-time employee. It's been very difficult to get part-timers in and trained and working. So we've been having an increased amount of overtime in that line. We're still trending to be about $100,000 over budget by the end of the year on fire and EMS salaries. But because we're aware of that, we've been working internally with Chief Green, and we're hoping that the fire overall budget will still end in a surplus or break even by not spending on other account lines.
I just want to highlight for those in the room that weren't at town meeting, one of the reasons that we're adding 2.5 new employees to that department is to lessen the strain on the part-timers and in cost of overtime.
Yes, and we are very actively.
Laura, could you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
So part of the budget, this past budget that we all passed, was adding 2.5 new staff members to the fire department, specifically to lessen the demand on part-time staff and overtime, which ends up costing taxpayers more money. Important context.
That's all I have.
Does the board have any questions? Public have any questions? Kevin? No. Seem to be down to my.
Pretty short and sweet. Cliff first. Cliff is Cliff. Cliff, and the second time you turn around, someone asked what you said originally. The second time you did. The one comment you made, you said you dealt with big issues in regards to your work, and you referred to what we're talking about as little issues. Those are the exact words. These are not little issues, especially to everybody in this room. So the other thing that comes to my mind, and I'm looking at all of you right now, how did we get here? How did we all get here? That there's so much contention and annoyance and aggravation, and even anger. How did we get here? Why are we this way?
Where do we go?
Where do we go?
I can respond to that. I'll say, Paul, yeah. So, I mean, if you'd rather use that to characterize and attack me as opposed to work on a dialogue, we can do that. We can do either one. So up to you. Have a dialogue of what concerns you, or do you want an argument over semantics?
So does anybody have any other questions on the financial report? Let's stick to that. We're going to stick to comments on the agenda item that we're on. Okay.
Shelley might have a question.
Sorry. I can't tell if you on Zoom, if you have already spoken, if you could put your hand down, that would make our life a little easier. So I show that Susan has a question on, oh, no, you don't. Mr. Selden.
Yeah, this is the problem is you keep controlling my microphone, and then this is crazy. Listen, we cannot hear some of the things you are saying. It is illegal. You cannot do this. I've been telling you this for 6 months. Get microphones. This is required under Vermont open meeting law. Okay?
Did you have a comment on the financial statements that Mr. Duffy just went over? Moving on to the village, discussion about the Village Conservancy. I think Wendy is here.
You want to do your poll?
Well, let me ask them, do I have to push this button?
You're great.
Okay. So I'm here to talk about the sort of next steps for the village. Some of the people in the room were not here when we spoke last about what the Conservancy was up to. So I leave it to you if you want to have a quick review of who we are, and then a discussion about the topic that was warned. Okay. So do I have to keep looking at it? So Eric is going to put a slideshow up, and hopefully we'll go through it fairly quickly so everybody can. Uh-oh.
All right, then another one for next steps.
Yeah, that's it.
This one?
Okay, great. So I'm representing a newish nonprofit that started about a year and a half ago called the Woodstock Village Conservancy. So this is a community-driven group. Everybody is a resident here. We are a project of the Woodstock Community Trust, which is our 501c3, gives our donors the opportunity to donate money and have a tax deduction. The members are listed here, and I don't want to go through them except just to say that it represents people who've been here for decades as well as newcomers. Everybody has a special area of personal interest that makes them qualified to be in this group that is interested in the condition of our village. So basically what we're interested in doing is imagining that we have an intentionally designed, sustainable and well-kept public spaces connected by safe and accessible pathways that residents will use, appreciate, and support, and that visitors will explore and enjoy. Go to the next one. So our mission is to enhance and maintain the public spaces and connectors in the village of Woodstock. And basically what we want to do is, you can go to the next slide, is deal with the insufficient municipal resources that we currently have, and the lack of intentionality or the loss of the intentionality of the spaces, traffic pattern and infrastructure that is not conducive to pedestrian and cyclists, and then downtown parking. So all these things that help Woodstock function well for our residents and visitors. So we are proposing to help the municipality with intentional design, sustainability, accessibility, and maintenance at minimal or no additional cost to the budget. And this is just a quick slide to say, you can go through this quickly, that we support the municipal goals and the annual goals. Our model are other conservancies around the country, such as Boston's Emerald Necklace Conservancy. So if you go to the next slide, hope I'm not going too fast. You can see that we have our own little necklace within the village of Woodstock. Eric, can you just go up to placemaking opportunities? And so we're talking about all the green spaces and pathways within the village. We also think about pathways in a figurative manner. So things like wayfinding, community engagement, and education. Scope of activity is that we will collaborate with the municipality and other stakeholders. We would help fundraise through grants and private philanthropy, and we would help the municipality with implementation of our plans. So our work to date is we've talked to what we call principal stakeholders. Eric, can you go to the next slide? Which includes the municipality, of course, who owns the properties, the nonprofits who have properties of their own, the abutters and local businesses. And we've also presented to secondary stakeholders, which are the users. You can go to the next slide. Adjacent nonprofits, such as the Trails Association, the national parks, et cetera. And then supporters, such as the Rotary, local banks, Thompson Senior Center. So we talked to our various stakeholders and asked them what they wanted to address in the village, what problems to be resolved, and if they were interested in being our partners in these things. And so we came up with our first priority, to the next slide, as a major capital project, was to restore the green and improve the perimeter safety and traffic flow for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. So you go to the next slide. Let's skip all this stuff. These are issues that we discussed at our last meeting, and so we're going to pursue it and just keep going. Yeah, I thought I had gone to keep going. All right, this is just for people who haven't seen. This is a concept that we are using as the basis for starting a conversation. One of the things that we'll be talking to the select board about is how to proceed to get public feedback on this concept. In addition, you can go to the next slide. We are identifying mini projects, which are under $50,000 that we would fund through an annual fund executed within a year, leveraging community partnerships. And these are ways for us to make incremental progress through the village. So now I'm going to start talking about some of these mini projects. The first one is the one that I want to focus on later today, but just to give you an idea. So Branch Out Woodstock would be an initiative to start planting and replacing trees in the downtown quarter. Can you go to the next one? Mini Project 2 is a conservancy corps, a volunteer group to help DPW with maintenance. Next one. 3 is starting to plan for the bicentennial of the green. The next one. Fourth one is to start the design and planning process. As I mentioned, we have this concept that's going to begin the conversation, but it's not the final plan. It's just to start the conversation. And then the fifth project is public art. And one of the things that we're exploring now is a mural on the Mechanic Street wall. It's a privately owned wall, not actually under the jurisdiction of the select board, but the idea of introducing public art to the village. And then number 6 is a safety study for the traffic. As I alluded to before, one of the issues that we're interested in is increasing the safety for pedestrians and cyclists. So summary of the work to date is that we have started establishing partnerships with the municipality and other stakeholders. We recently signed a letter of agreement with the town that outlines how we're going to work together. And it's very exciting because we want to make sure that the select board and the staff are all on board with what we do because it is the town's property. But we are there to not make work for them, but to help them achieve their goals. We've already sought funding for some of our projects and our operating costs and received a number of grants and also coordinated volunteers and reported regularly to those people who are interested in our work. So the next steps, hopefully this is, are fundraising and starting to execute the mini projects that I listed. So you can go to the next one. So what we're asking for tonight specifically is permission to work with DPW to complete the due diligence for our Branch Out Woodstock initiative to plant the trees downtown and to start fundraising for Branch Out Woodstock and other mini projects. So that you don't have to show anything else. So basically for the trees, we have identified 4 locations in downtown Woodstock where there used to be trees and now are concrete over. And so the first step is to look at that as a priority to replace those empty spots with trees. And then likely the next priority would be to look at the unhealthy trees, the ones that are going to come down, and to make sure that those are replaced with trees. One of the key things is that there's been a lot of studies done on how best to install urban trees so that they will survive. And so we believe that what we are going to do to replace the trees will be healthier than the ones that are already are experiencing. In addition, we're aware that there are some trees that are planted in the wrong place. They're starting to infiltrate sewer lines, that kind of thing. So working with DPW is really important as part of this due diligence. So far, it's just been this volunteer crew that's gone out with a lot of enthusiasm. But we need to start to kind of get into the meat of the matter and come up with an actual viable plan. And then the other mini projects as well, we want to discuss with the DPW and other staff members, the TRRC, to talk about Route 4. And all of these, as per our letter of agreement, require that you all give us permission to talk to these staff people. Questions?
Oh, is this working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm really excited about the branch out program, specifically as those who have watched the green over the past few years or just our village, Emerald Ash Borer has taken a lot of our canopy. And so I'm particularly very excited about getting some of that back, hopefully. Thank you.
Peggy, I'm sorry, you'll have to come up just because otherwise people on Zoom really can't hear.
Um,
And I pressed the button for you. So
Thank
can
you
just
very
talk.
much. What is ECW? Oh, okay. Peggy Fraser, Woodstock.
I'm
What-
not sure
what is-
what ECW.
Didn't you say?
Oh, Department of Public Works.
Oh, okay. The other thing, and just seeing the design for the green specifically,
Concept.
the whole concept. But a concept of the village green is public space.
Yes.
It's not an arboretum and it's not a botanical garden.
Yes.
And it seems like there's a big cluster of trees on either side of the green. And considering the many events that we have, like Market on the Green, like Bookstock, Wassail, Puppies and Pooches, these things, we need that space. So maybe you could cut back on the number of trees.
I answered.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so Peggy, what we're planning and asking the select board for is permission to proceed to the next step, which is to have a public feedback session.
Good.
So that concept, as I said, was just to start a conversation. So it's easier for people to react to something than to kind of like out of thin air, talk about things. And so we hope to have a meeting here where we'll have all kinds of pictures and, opportunity for everybody to say what their priorities are. We've already shared that design at Market on the Green last summer and a lot of fundraising groups and gotten some feedback on priorities. So everybody's going to have their own opinion of what's important or not, and what's going to matter is what most people think. And so hopefully more people will be happy than unhappy. But the public feedback session is the next step, but we haven't even gotten that permission yet.
So your
But
work's in progress.
Working, yes. And these are all things that we expect are going to take a long time. So yeah, but we're working through the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Is it of concern?
Name first.
Oh, I'm Jennifer Falvey, Woodstock. Is it of concern that a private organization will be raising funds on behalf of the municipality? Wouldn't it be better to raise the funds and hand that money over to the municipality so that we know where it's going and we're not relying on a privately owned 501c3 that the municipality doesn't have oversight of? Wouldn't that be a better idea?
That is exactly what we're going to be doing.
So the money that you raise for the Conservancy will be handed to.
That's right. So the select board has to approve anything that happens on public land. It's not our business. We're just helping them do the legwork and the fundraising. When the project, for example, the green is vetted by the public, et cetera, the select board will either vote to proceed or not to proceed. If they vote to proceed, any work that's done is contracted by the town and is under their jurisdiction, not ours. We then just, when we're raising money, we will say that that's what's going to happen. And then the money will get handed over to them.
May I answer?
Yeah.
To whom will the check be written? If you come to me and say, Jen, give me some money for this project, and I say, here's my $100, to whom am I writing that check?
That check is written to the Woodstock Community Trust.
That's my point.
Which is the 501c3.
It's
and
private.
In the, well, it's a nonprofit.
It's private though.
It's a nonprofit. So it's not like a company.
But it's not Woodstock.
Correct. So what that allows is for the donor to deduct that amount as a charitable gift. And so it's a way for them to understand that we are doing this as a gift to the town. They are giving the money for the town to use for this purpose.
But we have no jurisdiction over it as.
No, excuse me. What will happen is that if the project's a $5 million project, they have to raise $5 million, put that money in the town's account, and the town will distribute that money and run the project.
I understand that. Wendy explained that. I'm saying that it shouldn't go into a 501c3. It should go directly to the town.
It doesn't actually matter. A donation can go to the town and it can still be deductible, but as
I'm going to suggest you guys talk about this offline because we're really here just to talk about the branch.
that's legal. It is not
Right.
legal.
I think they've thoroughly researched that. I'm positive. Any other questions on the branch out project of the Village Conservancy? Hearing none, seeing none. We're going to move on to the July 4th committee update.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
We have to do it together. I'm Susan Cheesky, Woodstock, Vermont.
Carrie Bristow, Woodstock Village.
First of all, Karen, I would like to thank the select board and Mr. Duffy for bringing us back here tonight. It seems in light of the recent events in our community, we're really not a community. And we do hope that this celebration in July will bring people together. Since we first came here last October, I think Carrie and I can both say we really didn't know what we were doing, but we knew something had to be done to celebrate this important birthday of our nation. Since then, businesses, individuals, organizations have been giving us money to help defray the costs. Right now, we have a logo, and I think you've seen it. It's in your packet. It was designed by Deb Green, and on the back lists the events that we have taking place and where they will be. At this time, we meet every other week. Everybody is welcome. If you'd like to, you can get in touch with me, Carrie, or anyone on our committee. We would love your input. We would love your time. And if so, maybe you could help pay for a couple things. Thank you.
And I just want to thank the two of you. I mean, we signed you up to work on doing the fireworks, and you've gone so far beyond that to make this a really special time for the town of Woodstock. And I know it's been a lot of work, a lot of letters, a lot of asking for money, because several have come to our house. And it's really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just so you know, in the next phase, we are
Green button.
Green button, sorry. In the next phase, just so you know, we are going to be launching some fundraising through letters to the community, to the businesses, asking for a donation, and we'll have the information as to where it gets sent so that people know exactly how to donate. We have received $14,000 so far, and that doesn't include the money from the town, which is another $14,000. So our plan is to try to set up a fund that would be ongoing, so we don't start from scratch each year. And to that end as well, we'll be putting out a sign-up document through the various ways that we can get that information out for volunteers for each event. We need between 5 and 10 people just to help out with setup, cleanup, all kinds of things like that. And there'll be a sign up for that. We're hoping to get some teams from the school. We already have some for the 4th of July. Well, I should say the 5th of July fireworks. We have a lot of commitments already made for a great sort of carnival-like fair there during the afternoon up till the fireworks. So you'll see those things coming forward. And our next meeting is here at 8:30 in the morning on April 2. All are welcome. People have been trickling in, and we gained a person last week who came and just said, "What can I do?" And we pretty much have the activities set. We had just an addition with the DAR asking to lay a wreath on the 4th of July. some small tweaks, but the events that you have on the paper are basically what will be happening. So thanks for the support. Thanks for the staff support from Eric and Stephanie and Abby. They've been very helpful to us with ideas and solving problems and helping us with proper channels and ways of doing things.
I have one comment, which is that folks have been asking me if there will be a digital way to donate. Like if you guys are planning on having a Venmo.
There is a Venmo.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Great. Appreciate that. I'm excited.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Just appreciation. Thank you.
And from the public?
This one online.
One online. I think, did the hand go down again?
I don't see it.
Okay, I don't see any hands online. No one in the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Wassel Committee update.
Marketing committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Marketing Committee update.
This marketing update just can't be here, but there is a memo in your booklet outlining all efforts.
If you want me to.
Oh, yeah, Roger.
So I'm not speaking officially for the marketing committee, but we have been meeting with Abby's help. And we have been working with the chamber to establish the advertising structure for the site. And we established some proposed procedures and processes for that and proposed pricing. Which I believe Eric is reviewing, or I don't know if it's been approved yet or not. Okay. And so I can talk about the pricing later and the kind of the setup. We have been working on a visitor survey, and then there will also be a business survey, so we can get some ideas about what people are interested in when they're coming here, and or what businesses and other constituents are concerned about. Jess is working on putting together some kind of structures to help businesses with their listings on the site, because a lot of businesses have listings that are not particularly effective from a web standpoint. They're not going to be easy to find using Google. And then probably from my perspective, the biggest and most exciting, and again, this is my perspective, part of this project will be updating the content and adding a lot of content. Right now, what we have is a lot of business listings and some other smaller things. But what we're looking to do is start listing by activities that, there will be, for example, kayaking in the local area, biking in the local area, where to take kids on a rainy day, all of these things to serve both residents and visitors, and to also kind of bring us in line with the new world of search, where instead of looking for hotels, you're looking for dog-friendly hotels, or what do we do with my kids on a rainy day, or things like that. So that for me is a very exciting part of this that will actually, and it will engage with the community on a much more, on a much greater level. So that's about where we stand at the moment.
Questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the room or Zoom?
I just want to thank the marketing committee, so much of the fireworks committee. They started out of nothing and they're doing a great job. So I just want to applaud all the work they're doing.
Looks like Wendy has her hand up. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hi, thank you. This is forgive me, a marketing committee 101 question. And so forgive me, I know it's been addressed in the past in different ways. Please, if someone could explain how what we're doing with the marketing committee is not duplicating what the Chamber of Commerce does. I know this is I'm feeling like we're becoming the Chamber of Commerce. And I know this is not a new conversation. I just need the basics outlined again, please.
Yeah, I can. Thanks for the question, Wendy. And I don't know if Roger wants to give me some color here too, but so the Chamber of Commerce and the town co-own the .com website together, and they manage it together. We've long had a marketing program. It used to be under the Economic Development Commission. We hired a marketing coordinator full-time last year or the year before that. Not full-time, sorry, part-time. And she is managing an appointed team that includes Roger and some other folks that we appointed within the last year of the community. That work has included updating the website. The website needed to be updated and hadn't been updated in about 7 or 8 years, which is a very long time in the age of the internet. And right now they're working to make sure that our businesses are supported, but in a very, I think, different way than the chamber. And maybe Jim, who is here, can speak to that. But the idea is that obviously, like, we continue to be, and it's, I think, one of the goals that we voted on our goals and objectives back in the summer. Making sure we have a robust marketing program for residents, visitors, guests, and businesses is really important to making sure that our economy runs. So I'm happy to give you more detail and introduce you to Jess if you have more specific questions, or Roger for that matter. Roger, do you have some things you want to add?
Roger Logan, Woodstock again. I can speak briefly to that. When we were developing the kind of construct and pricing structures for the advertising, we work very closely with the Chamber of Commerce. But yes, this is a jointly owned website, and I think we all agree that it needs to be something that reaches out to residents more strongly, and also that talks about that adds in additional content that's about what you can do in Woodstock, not where to go to, just a particular business. So but it is very important that we collaborate with the chamber and that we constantly get input from them. I believe there might be spaces. There is somebody there are people who are on the chamber on this committee as well. So, but we're moving forward with the understanding that this is not only growing into something bigger than what it currently is, but that it does have to do that in coordination with the chamber and with everybody else who's interested in having visitors and residents in the town. Thanks.
And I can add to that we spent, I think it was before Jim's time, but Lauren's there as well. We spent several months coming up with an agreement with the chamber on how this was all going to work. And there are 2 designated spots on the marketing committee specifically for chamber members. Leslie online has a question, comment.
Hi, thanks so much again. And I don't expect a response, just a comment that I'm hearing questions about surveys and surveys going out about Wausau and large events in our community. I'm just hoping we're soliciting the resident impact to these events, and that is shared very transparently. Because I will say I love Woodstock and I love Wassail weekend, but it's very disheartening to be disinvited from the inn and told to go to the back door of Oban Pond. And then at the end of like the crunch, whenever all the marketing is done, to say like our local businesses are going on vacation and thank you. So I'm hoping we're soliciting responses from the community as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Anything else?
Roger, are you all going to do that in the survey?
Yes, there will, sorry. Yeah, I should have stayed up here. I don't know why I keep.
He steps in.
Yes, we actually conceived of it as 3 different surveys. And one would be visitors, one would be residents, and another would be local business owners. But I think, to the point, very important that we keep soliciting feedback, and that, the whole point of a website solicits feedback by definition if it's no good, if it works. And one of the ways it gets feedback is what people are reading and what people are looking at. So, and where they're coming from. I mean, I would imagine well over 90% of our traffic currently is not local. And I'm just making that number up, so don't quote me, but I would hope that we would start getting a bigger percentage of local people who were getting actually useful information about living in Woodstock or about the school or about whatever else. So
I think what's the point? I was in a meeting with the chamber this morning. And Jim will see this later too. The conversation was locals, right? It was how do we have more locals doing more things in Woodstock? So that's something that the chamber and the market community are both looking at.
Yep.
That was another question.
Okay, now the Wausau Committee update.
So that would be me, Jim Kelly, Woodstock Chamber, and Lauren. Jim Kelly, Woodstock Chamber.
Lauren Fisher, chairman of the board and president of the board of the chamber, and Woodstock resident. So Wausau, neither one of us were on the committee. Norm, who was basically the operations person, knows more of what's happened. We do have a rough idea of the financials, and it cost about $22,700 to put it on. The town.
Yep. Does not include the volunteer. It's like.
No, that's money. That's cash spent, and that's not doesn't include
Rotary doing the wall.
Doesn't include our staff time. It's just money that flowed through the chamber, paid out to somebody else. And so we provided a breakdown to get that. Yes. So we're looking at that number being a little bit higher this year, but they ask that will be the same $15,000, and the chamber will raise the rest of that money.
And just speaking on behalf of the chamber, I can't speak for what the record keeping was for 2025, but going forward, we plan on making it a lot better. You know, especially as far as how much profit was even made by the chamber. It's supposed to be our biggest event in Woodstock, which certainly the crowd size can speak to that, but yeah, going forward, just way more organized.
Yes, and there was zero profit for the chamber, if not a loss.
I'll actually move this to you. Just a suggestion I should have thought of today in the meeting. Is there a way to kind of measure retail sales over that weekend? Like, so you'd look at year to year, like would businesses be willing to say, this year I had 200 sales, like not dollar figures, but I had 200 actual, like, and then the next year they say I had 250, or a way to measure it, or is that too difficult?
I think that's extremely difficult. Most businesses don't want to reveal their sales. If we could break down the sales tax, I don't think we can break it down that fine to a weekend. But you can a month and see if the month is up over. I know. So it would be just asking people, was this year better than last year?
I honestly think that would be a great marker to start with. I know just based on the relationship we have with the Department of Taxes for the local options tax tracking that we don't have that metadata available. We can see how much we get each quarter total. It's quarter. So yeah. They give us less and less. But it would be very helpful to hear from businesses specifically how that weekend compares to another weekend in December, say. I don't need like specifics in terms of revenue, but if they could provide a percentage, maybe that would be helpful for us in terms of evaluating the success of this event.
Okay, that's something we can talk to them about. I mean, the number of items sold, Woody's might sell 500 things in a day. I might sell 3 and have the same amount of cash. So that's a tough thing to figure out.
One question I have, just echoing someone's question about impact on residents, is how you measure capacity and when you kind of feel like, okay, we can't serve any more people at Wausau and we need to, I don't know, slow down the marketing or, tap it back a little bit. I know, the half marathon, I was involved with their registration process and they have a really good idea of how much capacity the roads and volunteers and everybody can take. And they, strive to keep to that number. And I'm just wondering if you have a sense of that for Wausau.
Well, no, because people aren't in a confined area. We've talked a lot with our neighbors in Hartford about the balloon festival. It's all in one place and they know exactly how many people come in. We do know that we had major problems with the bus service and parking at the high school. And we're going to double the number of buses for this year over last year because people were waiting in line. We know that people were waiting in line way too long for the Wausau punch on the green. So we'll double the number of places so people can be served faster. We didn't hear many complaints about restrooms. So, they always say the sewer guy controls the flow of everything. And to me, that's where you figure out if it's too many people, if you just can't handle the restrooms.
Potties this year anywhere and no porta potties?
Mm-hmm. There was
porta potties.
Yes, there was porta potties.
The question for those online was about porta potties. Questions about what we'll stick to Wausau. Yep.
Hastings, Woodstock. I just have a question in regards to Wausau weekend and the parking. I live on High Street and it's horrific. They park in front of my house. They park in front of my driveway. I've called the police and they can't seem to help. I'm just wondering why that weekend, aside from foliage, is not handled in the proper way.
Yeah, that would be a problem for the village trustees. So I'll bring that up to them and we'll talk to them and then the police department as well. But thank you.
You guys are next on the agenda to talk about your budget.
So we presented the budget to the select board yesterday. I think there was some similar budget requests from last year. Myself being the executive director, stepping in this position just a few months ago, I'm still having to sort of retrace some steps and finding out that record keeping wasn't as organized as I would like. So I'm working diligently to make sure that going forward is very transparent. I don't think there's
so one thing we want to point out is all the money we're asking for will be used as a pass-through. We won't keep any. We're not charging any extra time for our staff. It's the flower baskets, that all that money is going directly to building the flower baskets and maintaining them. The tree lights, the company has given us a big break on just using their equipment. They're not charging us for time. And so again, we will just manage the administrative part of it, but we don't make any money. We're not keeping any money in our coffers. We have, Jim has actually been working to get wireless Woodstock up and running again. With that.
Yep, I'm working with Jim Langhans at his previous company, Sight and Sound, to figure out a way to wire the green back up so that there's a better experience on the green for visitors, vendors, everyone in town. That's very close to being complete. We need it for lots of reasons. I'm excited about that. We've made that pretty much happen the last week.
So we're able to piggyback on Comcast's internet into the library, and there'll be a transmitter from the library out to the green, where there'll be a repeater on the green to transmit the signal, the Wi-Fi signal throughout the green.
we'd love to see this happen throughout the rest of the business district eventually, but
I'm really this is something that I'm sure the trustees hear a lot about, but I know we get a lot of complaints about it come Market on the Green season, or really anytime we have an event. It's a sell dead zone. And so it's not only like really important for our businesses, but I think also for public safety. So I'm really excited to see this on the list.
yes, and again, he is donating his time. He is not charging us any markup on equipment, and he is charging some for an assistant that he has to pay cash out of pocket. So it's a good deal.
I have a question on the Welcome Center when it's open. If I read this correctly, it's going to be open on a weekend, but not daily.
So it'll be fully staffed then. The door will be open, but in January through May and in November, we can't guarantee there'll be somebody there. Most of the time there will be Jim or our part-time person. But it doesn't make sense to us to have a full-time person sitting there when you might have 3 people come in 4 hours.
It'll be open on weekends.
But it'll be fully staffed on weekends. It'll be open 9 to 5 every day, except the 2 holidays. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what the 2,000 for marketing is?
So we are planning a new 4th Friday event. So I was trying to make it similar to the first Friday over in White River Junction, where it'll be a community event and do it more than just having stores open late. And so we want to work with some of the other community nonprofits to do that. We're talking with Pentangle and Artistry and have music on Elm and Central Streets and fun events going on. So it's more than just come shop. And so the marketing will be to promote that both to local residents and surrounding towns.
Is there a sense that, to piggyback on Susan's questions, is there a sense that that could be something you could work with our marketing committee to do? So like, is there, I guess, like to Susan's questions, what are we paying for the marketing when we have our own marketing committee?
So absolutely, we'll be working with your marketing committee to get the word out best through social media, through the website, but there's just some local platforms, Front Porch Forum, newspapers, radios. There's just some more traditional marketing avenues that we might have to take advantage of in order to get the initiative out and get the word out so that it's a success.
I have a question.
Sorry, our procedure is to get through the board questions first, and then we'll come to the public.
It's a quickie.
I'm so sorry, Peggy. Do you have any more questions?
One last thing for me. We had an agreement at some point last year that the trees and the pot flowers and stuff were going to start to be paid in combination between you and the village, in addition to the town. And I'm just wondering how I think that's going to start in soon. Yeah. So I'm just wondering how that fits into this budget request.
I don't know.
Sorry.
It was a conversation with our previous executive director, I believe. And so that may be something that we didn't follow up through. So.
And I just want to clarify. So now that we're done with board questions, usually we take public comment, but also we structure the agenda like this so that we have a discussion, usually with the community and feedback. So if you have feedback on this proposal, we'd like to hear it now during public comment, because ideally at the next meeting, we would take a vote on it. So that's kind of how we set this tempo. So if you have feedback or questions for these lovely folks in front of us, we would love to hear from you. Because next meeting, I would expect that
we'll have on the agenda to vote. And it also, I think we haven't been clear that this funding would come from the local options tax. It's not coming from the town budget.
Well, I want to clarify, the Welcome Center comes from the operating budget.
Right.
Yeah, but the top number would come from the local options tax, from economic and community development, local options tax.
Yeah, the $35,000 has already been approved by town meeting. This is an additional request for about $42,000 for all the events.
Thank you very much. Peggy Fraser, Woodstock. The question that I have is just, you know, another one of your great events, the Taste of Woodstock. Do you have a date for it yet?
Yes, we're not going to have it this year.
What?
We're not going to have it this year. We determined that it was not a true Taste of Woodstock. There was only one restaurant from Woodstock that participated. It was an event that did not benefit the Chamber of Commerce at all. In fact, it hurt businesses that are downtown. And so it is pretty tough for us to put on as a chamber an event that hurts our members. And we didn't feel that we had the time to prepare to do it the way we think it should be. So we're pausing it for a year, and we'll come back at it next year, maybe with a different name, but it'll have a different feel also. So it'll be less of a street carnival and more of something that is more Woodstocky.
Yeah, that was a tough decision. We've had a lot of feedback from vendors and citizens. We understand it's a fun time. We just had to take a hard look at, you know, what is actually benefiting, you know, everyone. And yeah, we want to create an event model that is just going to be better than ever.
Okay. No further comments. Thank you. And if anybody has comments they want to make, our emails are on the website if you think about something later.
And then
Or if you have feedback for the chamber, when's your next event? Do you know?
Our next mixer, I
Yeah, when's your next mixer?
believe it's April 12th.
April 12th.
April 12th is the next mixer if you're interested in being a member of the team.
On the website too. On the calendar. Great.
I can just do that one more comment. I want to thank you for all you do. That's it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
This is a little bit of a callback part before the horse or the horse well after the cart. But our next agenda item is our meeting protocol, which we've alluded to several times tonight. And I don't know if I should read it or
give the points maybe.
Yeah. So as we talked about, we wanted to put into place oh, it's up there. Perfect. A protocol to make our meetings more understandable to people, why we don't comment at citizens' comments, how it works when we start talking about a subject matter, which Peggy just happened with you, where we were still having board discussion. And no, I mean, you wouldn't have known. And that's why we want to do this to make things more clear to everyone and hopefully make our meetings a little bit more, I mean, not that they haven't been receptive. We've only had 3 people at them usually, but we'd love to have more people. So the point of this is to just clarify how we think it might operate. And we're just putting this out here for our own discussion and whether people have edits or changes they want to this. And then we would vote on this next month.
I just want to say thank you to Susan for putting this together. Something that I've had to coach a lot of people who ask me what to do a public comment. I think this is very helpful. I wonder, and I want to ask the public if they think it would be helpful to have things that have people have requested before, are name tags for us, or even a guide on the table that reminds you to like say your name and click the mic. Really, we want again, cart before the horse. We want to make this easy so that when you come before us, you have less to be nervous about and there's less of a threshold. And so, but also, you know, there are statutory requirements. We follow Rosenberg's rules of order for the most part. And so those are things you wouldn't know unless you come to the meetings regularly or any public meetings, because we, you know, like committees or commissions as well.
And I can make one clarifying.
I guess the board itself is this, the goal is to have this read in the beginning of every meeting? Is it to have it just on the website to refer to? Do you want, so I guess like as you talk through as a public office comments, like how will this be presented in each meeting, or what is where is this going to live after it's created?
My idea was for a meeting like this, where there are a lot of people who have never come to one of our meetings, is that it would be read. I think when we have our typical meetings with Roger, Byron, and maybe John Spector, we don't necessarily have to go through it, but I'm hoping to have all of you join us again in April. So if that's the case, I think we would read it just to make sure everyone knows why we're not responding to you or why you can't talk at a specific time.
I would also say, in just to add to Susan, that I think we can post this on the website, and maybe even add it to the cover page of the agenda so that folks know when they see the agenda what to expect. And I'm also eager to follow up with Marianne Sweeney, who said she had the template from VLCT. So maybe there's even an additional page we could add to each packet. Anybody? Anything else from, okay?
Do you want to go to the board? Do you want to go through and talk about it? Do you want to get public comment first?
Yeah. I'm good. No. Anybody have any questions, comments?
There's two online.
Yep.
It would be great if you guys had nameplates.
Okay, thank you. We will have that. And then Marianne Sweeney. She's on mute herself.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, two things. Thank you. I would appreciate if you could review that website from Vermont League of Cities and Towns. I think it would be really helpful just to have a form that we could fill out. And the other thing is, I don't sign in a lot to these meetings, but I do read the minutes. And so I think you may be underestimating how many people are actually involved. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone in the room? Nicholas Selden?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, just 3 points in response to this. Number one, I think it's disingenuous for you to suggest that you're inviting public participation and that you wish for public participation. I know that that's an image and a facade you wish to put forward, and this statement does exactly that. And the words that I've heard out of Laura's mouth today were pretty much the same thing. We're inviting public comment. Well, no, you're inviting public comment that you want to hear, and you're shutting down public comment that you don't want to hear. And my point to this is I have made requests to have important issues put on the agenda over the past year. And you've ignored those requests, you've declined those requests, and I've told you that I'll just come and speak at public comments. And then that gives you the ability to ignore me. And other people feel the exact same way. And the problem that I have, as I've heard from you, Susan, twice so far, is you seem very excited by the big group of people that turned out today. At least many people within that group, they were here today to send you a message that you seem not to have understood. Thank you.
Leslie online?
A select board meeting protocol. Numerous members of your community actually work and follow business rules in their own lives and their own professions. So asking for this protocol is really quite simple for us. We're asking the select board to follow and publish the same type of regulations and expectations of not only for your community to submit to you, but also what we are to expect of you as a select board. I went on the website, your town's board select spot, and I could not find a position description or job description of how you were supposed to support me or represent me as a community member. So we have nothing to weigh this against. So I think what you're hearing tonight is we want business rules. We want format. We want leadership. We want acknowledgement, and we haven't had it in a formalized method. So I applaud this protocol. Please allow us to use it and implement it and operationalize it. It'd be wonderful. And a second thing is, I love the way our town looks with our baskets and our. That's the most exciting time of year for me is when I see those spring baskets up. That brings Woodstock to me, not Wausau, not Taste of Woodstock. I applaud taking down that agenda and event because it really does nothing for Woodstock. So bravo. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, as much as I hate to agree with Mr. Selden on anything, I think he has a point about the microphones. I found it really, it was hard when things would drop out and you would watch someone very earnestly talking and you had no idea what he was saying. I don't know what it takes to do that, but I think that's something you really do need to work on because it was really disturbing. It was really not disturbing, but it didn't help you present what you wanted to present and what we all need to hear. And like I said, that I don't know what that costs. I don't know what the the technology required behind it, but it was bad. It was not good. Anyway, and I just did want to say I missed the public comment, but I do like the first impressions Easter display. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed.
And we agree about the microphones. It is a new system. Apparently, they weren't charged after the last time they were used, so we're struggling and lesson learned, that won't happen again.
Thank you.
Okay. We're not even halfway through, folks. The Vondell purchase and sale agreement. Do you want me to?
Yeah, you want to,
Okay. So, as you know, as part of the aqueduct purchase, we also purchased the property that we're now calling Vondell Cobb, where the reservoir is. We've been working for months, maybe even longer, with Vermont Land Trust and Vermont Housing and Conservation Board on a grant. We are now at a point where we're signing a purchase and sale with the Vermont Land property. I want to emphasize that we are not selling the property. We are selling the development rights potentially. Haven't even gotten to that yet, but we're potentially selling the development rights on all but portions that they won't consider as part of the conserved land. And that includes the body of water, the parking lot, the water tank, the air, those areas. And then we've also exempted about 10 acres down by the existing parking lot. So what the purchase and sale agreement allows is for this to go through to Vermont Housing and Conservation Board for a grant of, I'm not going to be able to see it, it's $604,000. They will be making that decision now in May of whether to award us those funds. We feel that, they've kept those funds out and promised for quite a while, so we're fairly confident that we will get that grant. However, we've said that we want $1 million, so there are some individuals who are privately fundraising the balance of those funds. And this purchase and sale agreement has a contingency that we can choose not to conserve the property if we don't get that money. So I think that's it kind of in a nutshell. Does anyone, and because there've been some changes, we've had an attorney review this. The Land Trust has reviewed it. Donna Foster from the Land Trust is online. If people have questions they want to ask of them. For anybody who's associated with the mountain bike group, that is all referenced in here. The activities of the mountain bike group will continue as they do now, and all recreational uses. You know, the main reason we want Vondel is not only for a potential water use if we need it in the future, but also the vast recreation uses it offers our residents. So does anyone on the board have questions or comments? No.
No, I just read it. It's fine.
Anyone in the audience? Yeah. Eric will bring it.
Wow, have you already boiled up?
I guess I don't understand what the, oh, I'm sorry, Gay Traverse Woodstock. I don't understand what the rush is to do this. The way I understand it is we haven't even owned this land for a year. And I remember the push for it is that we couldn't live without it and this wonderful land. And now with less than a year, there's this push to, yeah, you're not selling the land, but you're making it so that nothing else can be done with it. So there's been this huge investment by the town citizens for, you know, this land that basically once it's handed over, can't be used for anything. So my two questions are the reasoning for doing it, A, and B, why the rush?
Thanks for the question, Gay. We actually hosted 5 public forums in the fall to discuss with the community if they were interested in conserving this land, which is what we're doing with the Land Trust. And the overwhelming majority of folks we spoke to, which I think was probably over 100, maybe even over 150 throughout those public forums, was that they really wanted to conserve the land. This is a grant opportunity through VHCB that is timely. They can't promise that this money is going to exist. And when we did the public campaign to purchase the land, we told the residents, as Peter so eloquently articulated before, that we were going to pursue grant options, and this is one of those. And so VLT and Susan have been working for the greater part of a year with interested parties, including Tom Debevoise and Wamba, to talk about what the future of fundraising for that land so that we can protect it for future residents looks like. But this was a conversation we had not only in public meetings here throughout the fall, but we did have out in the community. And that was the sentiment that came back to us.
Well, my question is, if the town owns it, isn't it conserved anyway? I mean, nothing can happen without the town say so. So I have to say, I don't understand it because it is protected by the town. So I don't understand this extra step.
Sorry, we do have an opportunity to recoup $1 million of the town's investment in that. And I don't know.
Yeah. The money for. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's not the case.
No, you're not wrong, in perpetuity. But again, this was a conversation that we gave the community. I just told you, I think, like the community said, we want to conserve it permanently.
I see the community come rushing to you the second you voted this in and said, oh my God, how are we going to conserve this? Because in my view, if we own it, it's conserved. I mean, nobody else can come and do anything with it unless we choose to sell it. So it does not make, I guess I can just have to leave it like this. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Thank you.
Encourage you to converse with your community members, because the overwhelming sentiment that we heard was that folks were concerned that there wasn't a formal agreement to preserve the land with the town. And so this was something that we discussed, was that in the future, select boards could choose to do with it what we want. And people did. Private landowners approached us about conserving it permanently. So that's what kicked off the conversation. Am I wrong in that, Susan?
No, and we did have, we publicized, we're meeting at Abracadabra, we're meeting here, we're meeting there, and we had numerous meetings and a lot of people
Showed up.
came. And we went with, if we had heard more people voice what you are saying, the decision might have been otherwise, but that's not what we were hearing from the public.
Well, I asked why I never came up to me.
Peggy?
Yes. Peggy, sorry, you just come to the microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
in light of this and what you said, in a way, the overwhelming response that you heard, but you may not have heard everything, because I think at the time of the original purchase, which we had to have a special election in October to meet everything, I think many people, I was not aware that the sale was contingent upon buying the Vondale property in the first place, which we had to do then in December. But when that also happened, given certain things that maybe a lot of people in the general public were confused or ignorant about, I think that we shouldn't rush into something like this right now that would prohibit even the possibility that some people have talked about, that to separate some of the land and actually offer it to private developers so there would be some tax revenue that could come out of that land. I think it's premature to move forward right now without another discussion that we're sure everybody is clear on. Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. So we excluded 10 acres from the land, specifically from the parcel. It's actually a lot considering how much density can be built, but understanding that what that land is zoned for right now is not ideal for development. There's a lot of, Peggy, you and I are on the same page about this, but this conversation is asked and answered. Like I can't visit everybody's house and ask them their opinion on this issue. We have been talking about this opportunity for a year in these public meetings and public forums outside of that. And we struck a compromise, which was to conserve the majority of the land, which is what we heard folks who came to the meeting say they wanted us to do, and excise 10 acres, withhold 10 acres from that grant opportunity.
And I just want to clarify one thing. There was no sale that was conditioned on the purchase of Vondale. The aqueduct and the Vondale purchases were totally separate. One was not dependent on the other. We could have bought the aqueduct without buying Vondale. And that's just some misinformation that's been out there. But it's not accurate. We had two separate purchases and sales. The bulk of the land up at Vondale is not readily developable. It's steep slopes. It's wet. It's not this pot of gold that I think people think it might be for development. And the best use is really, for the bulk of it, is to conserve it. Just push your green. Yep, push your green button.
I'm Suzanne Wooten and I'm from Woodstock. I want to say about the pocket meetings, all of those meetings that you have at Abracadabra, they mitigate against the working classes and the elderly. They're difficult to get to and they leave out a lot of people. But about the land trust, our family and our whole road and everybody who knew about the, well, let me start this way. In 1988, Buck and Sally Shane entrusted their estate on Grove Hill to the land trust. And Donna Forster, who's looking right at me, knows what I'm going to say. Buck and Sally entrusted their land exclusively to forestry and agriculture. The land trust disregarded it, and I have it documented and pictures. And if you're interested to know how egregious we feel their trust can be valued, I'd be happy to meet with you.
Online, Nicholas Selden. Oops, sorry. Online, Nicholas Selden.
Yes, I would just like to parrot exactly what was said here about these little pocket groups that are happening. I think that they are completely missing the point that many of us actually work for a living and we actually have real jobs that require us to be places. I know many of the board members don't seem to have these things and they have the freedom to do as they wish, but some of us actually have to work to live here, okay? And we have to go into brick and mortar places and we have to be certain places during certain times and we can't bend to your will. I would suggest that maybe you put forward some type of survey if you actually care what people in the community think, because saying that overwhelming support, 100 people, 150 people, there are 4,000 homes in Woodstock. So you're sampling a very narrow group of people, and you're actually having like a self-selecting sample that have the freedom to travel during the day and the freedom to go to these places during the day. I wish I had that, but I also feel just this whole thing's a little sleazy because I don't remember this being part of the original conversation when the land was being purchased from the get-go. I feel like this is just being slid under the table to us. So I just wanted to comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this has been part of our a nightly select board meeting at least 5 times.
Monthly, yeah.
Yes. Do you want to come forward?
I'm Jim Otranto, Woodstock. That 10 acres that you've got separated, whereabouts is that?
It's by the parking lot across from the tank. Is there a map in the packet?
I don't think there's a map
That's
here.
Cox District.
Yeah, so
That
we,
10 acres is down below the upper reservoir.
you need a,
So you're saying that that 10 acres is down off of Cox District Road and not up above Vondell Road?
Yeah, correct.
So nothing is going to be done up on the top?
Correct.
Okay, because I was going to say, who is going to improve that class 4 road? That's going to stay the way it is. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Tom, sorry.
No problem. Tom Debevoise, live in Woodstock. Was actually born here 69 years ago. And I come at this from a different angle than some of the people who've spoken before me. And this has already been mentioned. If people have been up in the Vondell, they would understand that the idea that that could be developed for housing makes very little sense for a number of reasons. One is the topography. It's a valley with steep slopes and a lot of wet areas, which is why the aqueduct company bought it in the first place and bought the whole, over time, bought the whole watershed and put in the reservoir. And as was just mentioned, there's a class 4 road up there. There is no electricity. And one of the ideas for the reservoir is it could be possibly be a water supply. And there, if you were going to have a lot of development up there, you would be endangering the watershed and the quality of the water. And then on top of that, looking ahead, it's absolutely true. Woodstock has a housing issue, and especially, workplace housing. But at the same time, I think if we look far enough into the future, that housing will exist. And what's going to be rare are areas like the Vondell Valley for recreation and I mean, there's already the bikes, and a lot of people, it's not just bicycles, but a lot of people walk up there, and there's the old cellar holes. There's just a lot of history to it as well. And I think an area like that is going to be more rare in the future than finding places that you can put housing. That's one of the reasons Safford Commons is where it is. I was actually on the high school board at the time, and they needed actually some land, an agreement with the high school for land on the south side of Route 4, which we worked out with them. But the thing about picking that area was that there was state highway, there was water, there was sewer, there was electricity, everything was there. And those are the types of spots we should be thinking about when we're thinking about developing for housing. And ideally, once the water pressure issues are solved with the new mains and whatnot, really having it someplace near roads and probably, here in the village, maybe towards the east end, just make way more sense than trying to do that up in an area like the Vondel. It's my take on it anyway.
Anyone else? Peter.
Conversation a little bit about, Peter Shoemaker, Woodstock, Vermont. So we did have a lot of these meetings that I attended when we were purchasing discussing the aqueduct and the Vondel purchase. I just want to see where the select board is going to clarify and reiterate the fact that any monies raised from the sale of the Vondel, any other grant money received, would be to pay down the bonds that the residential taxpayers are paying, and how that's going to happen. Is that going to be like, we'll take that bond element right up front and pay the $650 off, so the bond payments decrease right off, so our taxes are lowered? Or we had a brief discussion a few weeks ago, and it was very brief, but it was mentioned that the select board could reallocate that money if they wanted to. They could vote and say that money could be reallocated instead of paying down the bond, which was my understanding, that any grant money, and that was discussed in select board meetings and public meetings, that things would be paid down first and not reallocated to be used in some other town on other budget means.
So Peter, one thing, the bonds were bundled together. So it's not like we have, separate bonds, just to clarify for everybody here. But in addition to that, I think we have to have that discussion about how we want the grant to be applied. We have costs associated with the Vondel, including dams to repair, that we have quotes for that would be in excess or close to, I believe, in excess of $800,000 to repair both dams, which impacts us all. So I think those are conversations that we're going to have about how to apply this grant. We have not yet received that money. And so, we don't know, I guess, is what I'll say.
I guess having the repairs come up as something new, because we did have a line of what the bonds were going to be, what each bond, there was, the A, B, we were going to take care of the pipe underneath Elm Street, the second well that was going to be, the new well that was going to be drilled, and the Vondel. And that's what we were going to be, as residential taxpayers, we're going to be on the hook for.
Right.
Residential taxpayers who are not able to access the Woodstock Aqueduct. So the Vondel is certainly something that we all can access. But there was a discussion. So I think to say that you're going to sell part of, or put it in conservatory and say and not know where that money is going to go to,
is not fair to us because we all had this discussion that any monies, grants would come down and pay down the bond first. Now, if there needs to be money to fix up the rest of the dams and such up there, that can be part of the Woodstock Aqueduct rate structure. The people who have to use that water need that water, and overwhelmingly that is commercial interest, the hospitality interest, and let's be frank, the Woodstock Inn. So they are the high users. They need a sprinkler system. A lot of people need sprinkler system. So I just want to back up a second and just say, you're now bringing in new that were not part of those bonds, not costs that were associated. We were not told about these costs beforehand. And now it's like, oh, now we need to pay for this out of that bond money. That bond money had specific line by point what they were going to pay for. So now you're trying to add different payments for that.
So the voters voted to agree to take on debt service, which is a bond, for all of those improvements you just discussed.
Right, but now you're saying the dam and such, that was never discussed as an improvement that was needed. We were just buying the bond up front. And it just shuts me off. So, just wait. If you had said beginning to everyone who was wanting to buy the Vondell property, we're going to pay, was it 1.6? Now you're looking at another, maybe $1 million worth of fix up for that property. So it wasn't really accurate to say that that property was going to cost us 1.6. Now there are another, and what are those dams for? Is that for the reservoir?
The dams, yeah, hold up both reservoirs.
So, and then that is for use by the Woodstock Aqueduct.
It is a potential, not presently. It is used for, the reservoir is used for recreation, and it was a water source in the past. It is not currently a water source. They are features of the property.
And there was much discussion that just using open air water like that without a major filtration system and such is pretty much doesn't exist. It's a bit of a pipe dream. We're better off just drilling wells. It's a whole lot cheaper to drill wells. In the world of droughts, that reservoir is going to go down. That'll be the first thing is groundwater is the first to go.
Here, I think we could go back and forth on this. What I will say is that the reservoir is an asset to this community, especially in light of epic climate events. That's one of the reasons we bought the property. I cannot speak to the technical things you're bringing up in terms of that the reservoir would be the first to go. I think that's a call for an engineering. What I will say is that before we allocate any grant funding, we are statutorily required to take a select board vote. When that grant goes through, this is for the purchase and sale, but if we were to receive that grant, that would be a warned meeting in which we would discuss that and allocate it.
And Peter, with all due respect, we have 19 more items to cover, and this was just to be about the purchase and sale. So understanding that the discussion you want to have is yet to come. I'm not telling you we aren't hearing you. It's just the purchase and sale has line. It's like if we change our mind and don't want to go through with this, we can get out.
Just one more brief. So in the world of transparency and trust, there were many discussions, and then any monies made or collected or got from the federal government or now the Vermont Land Trust, you had stated that would pay down the bond. Now that you have incurred other afterwards, you purchase that without, and then it's like me buying a house. I bought a house and it's like, oh, I never had the well inspected. I need a new well. You didn't have that dam inspected. So now there's a second cost. That should just go back. You should bond that out or whatever. We should pay down the first bond, and then you could go to the public and say, we need a bond to fix the dam up there. I just think to make a vote on selling into the Vermont Trust, the dollars, we should know where those dollars are going to in sense of it was going to pay down the bond. That was very clearly stated that any monies would pay down the bond first, and we can go look back at video on that. Thank you.
Next up, and before everybody stands and has their hands up, I want to explain the next item, the Merger Analysis Working Group. This is just a group that I think Charlie Kimball wants to head up to look at legally what's going to be required, financially, what makes sense, just to kind of do a feasibility study, basically, of whether or not it makes sense to merge the town and the village. And I know that's a hot topic. We will, if we ever decide to pull the trigger and have those discussions, we will have a lot of discussion about it. This is solely to get a feasibility study, which may very well go in a drawer for a year. This does not mean that we as a group are advocating for merger, advocating against merger. We're solely trying to get the facts and figure out whether it even is something that makes sense to talk about. So,
and I'll just add that this is a goal that the joint boards voted on last summer as a part of kind of how we ranked the way that we wanted to allocate priorities and staff time. And so that is why this is coming up now after town meeting, is we are taking steps to meet that fiscal year goal, to study a merger. So I guess I will kick off with questions where to begin.
Yeah, I think to Susan's point and Laura's point, the original idea stemmed from having this be an unofficial, non-associated group outside of the board, the select board of trustees. To Susan's point, so it doesn't seem like the board is advocating for one thing or the other. That group would kind of self-select the people they'd want on the committee, try and get a range of residents with different viewpoints, different history in Woodstock, come together for a certain amount of time, have probably some kind of survey with the residents of what they want to know what a merger would mean, get all that information, and then try to go analyze that information, and at some point present to the joint boards their findings, their recommendations, their understanding what it would mean, and then be in the hands of the boards to take action or take no action or to further along the conversation.
and I know this has been, depending where you live and how long you've lived here, to some point, this is something people feel strongly about. So I want to make sure everyone knows that this will be fully open for lots of discussion. If we even make that next step. Right now, there's no step. Does anyone on the board have other comments or questions?
I think previous working groups have been like 5 to 7 people.
Yeah, I mean, you try to keep them small because you want to get a good range of people, but not also have 35 people in the room trying to work together. So what they tried to do, I think, in the past, at least for the water working group, was get people with different expertise. We had someone who was a genius in finances, and they looked at it with different rates and all that stuff. We had people with history of the aqueduct company. We had some realtors. So it's trying to get a wide group of people with different expertise, give them tasks to do, come back, report to the committee. So, I mean, my recommendation would be let Charlie Kimball kind of create how many people he thinks is worthwhile in that group. But that would just be my recommendation. And to Susan's point too, Charlie's very busy right now at the State House, so it's not like he's gonna hit the floor running tomorrow. It's just to get this ball moving.
Any comments from the public?
Yes.
Peggy.
I have,
Sorry, I'd get up, but I can't get there.
I'm sorry. It's,
Just push the button.
Yeah. Peggy. And I have a question. I have posed this before. I never got an answer from anybody. Where I used to live, we had Upper Montclair and then we had Montclair. And what our town council discovered was that if you call yourself a township, you were eligible for an incredible amount more money from the federal government. Now, I don't know if that's still true, but has anybody been investigating any of those things? Because I've always heard, oh, we get more money because the village gets money and because then the town gets money and then we're all getting more money. But this is something that overrides that because it's, oh, well, we don't know the federal government right now, but anyway, has anybody investigated renaming it ourselves as a township instead of just.
So the question on the table is if we would consider being named a township or another entity. I think it's a great question, Peggy. I would add that to the questions and concerns for the committee. What I will say is that I know we have village designation centers, which is kind of separate than this other governance, which does allow us more grant opportunities. We're lucky to have an economic development director who is a grant horse and has been able to get us a lot of grants for our town. So we're lucky to do that. I know historically it's been the case that the town and the village have been able to apply for things. I would say one of the reasons that we all rank this as a high priority is because the way staff are getting stretched between the two overlapping municipalities is not efficient. And so we don't have a lot of time to be even investigating or getting ready for grants that might be eligible for the town and the village simultaneously. Eric, did you want to follow up with that?
No, you said it except what I was saying.
Okay. I think also township is like a regional name, the way parish is like a regional, like for.
No, it's national.
Okay, great. John? John.
John Spector, Woodstock. I think it's a great idea to merge. I think it's a good idea to study it. I think it will work if there's a private group doing it. I urge you to consider at least having an appointed commission. I think particularly in the environment where transparency is on the top of minds of a lot of people, I don't see there's a procedural downside, frankly, having had to adhere to the open meeting law. It makes things very difficult, but there's a reason for that. So, but I do think it would work as a private organization. It would be better than we would get good information from a private group. Charlie would do a great job, but I would really consider doing public things.
Just a quick comment on Susan, you'll not remember this, and I'm sure there's a lot of people. 2007, we went through this. There's not a lot of background to figure out here. A lot of the laws and stuff probably have not changed. So this shouldn't be a real long drawn out thing. We know what's going on. It's less than 20 years ago. We went through this. You all weren't here. So we've gone through this. The town voted for it. The village did not vote for it. So let's, save time. On these little things, a little simple thing, get a portable charger. Each one can have a portable charger. You can double the life of probably on these things.
Thank you.
Roger.
Oh, Roger.
I just want to say that I think whether or not it's a official commission or a working group, I think it's time to really dig in on this, do a real data-driven approach. The thing that scares me the most about the current structure is not just the waste of resources to kind of hold these two entities together. The village's budget just becomes more and more implausible every year because there's not enough people to pay for the village budget. I mean, you started with what, a 49% increase this year?
That was the department head request.
And then whittled it down to 13%, which was an amazing effort to do, but there's going to be a time when there's nothing left to cut. So we need to, it's not just efficiencies, but it's coming up with a much more reliable financial structure as well. So thank you.
Yes. Love having you.
I actually was one of the ones that was on that merger committee in 2007. So I think I understood it was, I'm sort of confused. I think I understood it was going to be a private group headed by Charlie. I'm not quite sure. And then it was maybe suggested to be public. I couldn't quite hear. So I think it's essential that you have it as a public group. I think it's never going to work having it as a private group. I mean, it's just not the way things are now. So I would really recommend that. When we did it, we had to go through the rigorous process of being chosen by both the trustees and the select board to get us for us to do it. But I really suggest that you have a really open process to pick the people who are going to be on this committee.
Yeah, Wendy?
Thank you. Thank you for this chance to speak again. Wendy Marion Village. I'm in support of the last two comments, recommending an appointed group that fully fleshes out both village and town perspectives, and that they are also public meetings so that they can be attended or reviewed afterwards. How I'm not sure about the technology, but public meetings posted would be ideal. I'm in support of that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? On to the housing group, which I don't have the knowledge about. So who's talking about that? Abby.
And there should be, you guys gonna get already a memo from Abby. Everyone get it already?
I got it.
Okay.
Abby Sherman, Economic Development Director, and I left a spare chair because John is here and he and I have worked together on this a little bit. So if you wanted to join me and chime in, he could. So I know that you're going to talk tonight, later tonight, about disbanding the Economic Development Commission. And so this is a housing group that would sort of replace that Economic Development Commission. But there would be some differences. For example, they would not oversee the local options tax fund. Let me. Yeah, sideways.
Thank you.
Need like microphones for the room to add it to your list. So to not totally start over, but proposing to create it's a housing and economic development task force. Maybe the term would change slightly, but they would replace the Economic Development Commission. They would be an advisory group that's sort of the eyes and ears to help me to know what is going on in the community. We have a lot of groups that are having discussions about housing, so this kind of brings that all together to the town. And that I was considering, there would be at least 5 members with staggered 3-year terms, all with some sort of background in housing development. And to that, we do have some non-residents who have a wealth of knowledge in developing housing outside of Vermont that might be very beneficial to Woodstock. It's a real asset to Woodstock. So the majority of the members would need to be Woodstock residents, but we could take on a couple of non-residents. We have that knowledge too. I would suggest that we have an ex officio member of the Planning Commission to act as a liaison so that we're not operating in silos. We can provide coordination, education, and collaborate with them. But the primary objectives of the group would be consultation, recommendation for policy changes related to housing, educating the public on housing topics, developing partnerships with developers, nonprofits, state agencies, and social service organizations to create solutions that dissolve barriers to housing development, develop funding models for housing and economic development, and then to make recommendations to me on ways that we can use the local option tax. They wouldn't make like the decisions specifically, but we could collaborate on ideas of lasting ways to use those funds. The first initiative, which we'll talk about later tonight, would be the development of a housing and economic development strategy, which would be a collaborative effort with other town committees, community organizations, and private sector partners to develop a roadmap to guide job creation, increase housing stock, marketing and branding efforts. We would work with the marketing committee as well, and redevelopment and investment in the town. All of which, to develop action items to strengthen and diversify the local economy.
Questions or comments from the board?
I was just supportive of the concept.
Same. Thank you, Abby. And anyone in the public?
Inspector Woodstock, the EDC had a housing subcommittee. I think Abby's proposal is a real step up in terms of focus and expertise. I think it's a significant improvement. I'm not criticizing. I think the EDC housing subgroup took housing as far as that subgroup could, but putting together a committee to advise you that is selected specifically for their housing expertise, and including some of the specific people that I think you're considering, I think would be a significant step up in terms of serving Woodstock and serving the select board. So I really applaud that. Thank you.
Tucker, Woodstock, also chair of the Planning Commission. So, and also involved in housing projects through Woodstock Community Trust. So this is a topic very near and dear to my heart, and I'm fully in support of having a committee that focuses very specifically on housing. I look forward to working with you and being able to come up with initiatives and support initiatives that assist in developing responsible housing in our community. So thank you.
So again, this is something we would appoint.
Just, sorry. Mr. DeBois hit the nail on the head.
You have to hit.
Yes, you hit it right on the head. There's only so many plots of land in Woodstock that we can build affordable housing on at a scale that we need. For the EDC, it was great. It was noble, it was doing, but you pointed out, I think we spent more money on trying to create the housing than we actually created housing for. We kind of wasted that money. There's only so many properties that you can develop that meet electricity, sewer, and water. That's got to be a prime goal right up front, is to identify these properties before they disappear. Because if Max gets his way, and not gets way, he wants to have a theater, and he could take a prime property out of the old garage property. That only leaves maybe next to the terrace, and maybe next to Woodstock Beverage. We're running out of space to really put affordable housing that can hit a home run. I mean, it's getting to be baseball season. There is a theory that you play for singles and you hit, or you realize now it's the big bats you want. They're the ones who are getting the money. So that's what we need. We need to swing a little bit, and it's very noble. And this is great. I believe it. I fully support this housing. I grew up in Vermont. I'm afraid I can't afford my house pretty soon with taxes. That's scary. And my financial advisor says, well, it means your house value is going up, so you benefit in the long run. I'm like, but I'd like to stay in my house the rest of my life if I could. It needs to be, whether you want to call it work first housing, it's great that Mellishwood is being done. We need housing for our people to age in. Homestead is great. Then you move on to the Mertens house, and the joke is then you go over to the Camp Funeral Home. So you can get a trifecta right down the line. But we do need to think about affordable housing or housing in this town that has some space. We're not looking for 20 things. We need 100, 200 units, whether they're 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, or even studios for workers who are coming here to work in the service industry. So again, this is wonderful that we're starting this discussion, but we're running out of land quickly. So thank you.
Thanks for your comments, Peter. I love the enthusiasm, especially about housing. I just wanted to say, for those who are interested, Sarah is on the Planning Commission. And for the past 14 months, as a part of our initiative to add more housing, we've been reviewing the village zoning bylaws to make them more usable for developers. Because one thing we have heard consistently from developers is that our bylaws make it near impossible to build anything dense and anything at scale. And so those are things that we've been working on, and I'm really excited about that. Obviously, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the East End, but we're also working on several things in the laws, including, what it would take for folks who are now living in smaller households, but own bigger homes, who want to convert, their single family to a multifamily, things like that, that would allow more housing. But I don't disagree. We need to add some big numbers. And the idea behind that, obviously, and the reason the select board has been so pro housing, if I might say, don't all smile at once, is that one of the things we realize is that the tax needs are increasing significantly. And so to help offset that, to help neutralize the taxes, adding more taxpayers is something that will be beneficial to everybody. Anything to add on that, Abby? Okay. Ed?
Yes, hello. I hear what you're saying and I completely agree. But when I look around the town and the village lately, it seems that all of the development that we have been encouraging has been at the extreme upper end of the economic scale. We're not looking to develop at the lower end, the working. I don't know what the term is, the appropriate term is, but they're building $1 million condos behind Sante. The thing on Slayton Terrace, they're going to be well over $1 million each. We're not building stuff for the workforce or like a normal dispersed community. We seem to be aiming it completely at like an upper end second home thing. And I don't know. I have no way to, I don't have a solution, but like that's what it seems to be with all of these restrictions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ed. I think that's why Abby's creating this committee. Is one of the things we want to do is create suggestions. Her committee wants to create suggestions for how to possibly incentivize or remove barriers for developers of affordable housing to come here.
But
did I misunderstand? What you're seeing in the fact that developers are building what they're building now is just a reflection of like what the market is bearing out right now.
I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, the people who those are the only people who can afford to build right now. I mean, it was mentioned in the conference that I just attended, which was strongly recommended by John and someone else in town. Everywhere else in this country, you can build a unit of housing for $250,000. In Vermont, it's double that.
Very happy today, actually.
I'm sorry.
Well, that means there's going to have to, it can't be all private developers. There's going to have to be public money for this, whether it's Twin Pines or instead of taking the $800,000 that want to fix a dam up on the Vondel, we can go purchase the property for 1.5 out of Garrish, or she'll probably take it for 1.2. That's the town's got to get involved in that.
It still costs 10 million to create a development, and we
Can't have conversations in the audience because they're not reflected. They're not reflected in the minutes. They're not, oops, I'm not even on Zoom. They're not reflected on Zoom. So if you want to talk, you have to raise your hand, get recognized and come forward. Because it doesn't work just to have the conversations as helpful as they may be. So, and any other comments?
Online.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Selden.
Yes, hi. Well, you had talked about adding taxpayers as a way of lowering taxes. And, another way to lower taxes is to cut the spending on illegal employment actions. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
On to votes. Our first item is liquor licenses. And before I was the chair, I routinely made this motion, but I'll state it and then maybe someone will learn to. Okay. So I am going to move that we approve a first, second, third, and outdoor consumption permit for the Kedron Inn, a first, third outdoor consumption permit for Four Mechanic LLC, a second and tobacco for RL Valley Inc. Everyone's leaving. They're not excited by this. A second class for FH Gillingham's and Sons, and a first class for Farmer and the Bell. All of this conditioned on the state reviewing the applications because they no longer give us the material to do so. Would anyone like to make that motion? Thank you, Ray. Second? Second. Laura, Cliff, you can check that out. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Nina may never come to another meeting, but next up is appointment to Town Development Review Board. Nina, if you would step forward. push the button, introduce yourself.
Hi, Nina Phelan, South Woodstock.
And if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this position.
There's a number of reasons I'm interested in the, oh, that's okay. I've been in the community for just over 5 years, and everywhere else I've lived, I have been a part of neighborhood organizations and volunteered quite a bit. And I've been looking for my space. And I've been on the board of trustees for the Green Mountain Perkins Academy for over a year. And I wanted to get a little more involved. And I saw this bulletin at the athletic club and I thought that might be great. I sat on it for well over a month and wasn't quite sure. But I realized, looking at my experience in being a landowner, property owner, and managing my own projects, that I really think that I would have some good insight, and also understanding that Woodstock is so historic and beautiful, but we really clearly need to think about development. And I want to be a part of that.
Anyone on the board have questions?
Thank you for volunteering. We've been in need of members for this board for a long time. For those that don't know, it is a quasi-judicial board that receives applications for development and then makes decisions on them according to our zoning bylaws. So it's a pretty important part of how we use land here. I just wanted to make sure that you can make 80% of the meetings throughout the year.
Yes, I can.
Great. I have no more questions.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint
Nina
Phelan to the Town Development Review Board.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Letter of thanks to the Economic Development Committee.
Like, yeah, just quickly.
Oh, sorry.
This is maybe cart before the horse situation because the next vote is a potential vote, obviously, and things have changed. But with the assumption that the board's going to vote to discontinue the EDC services, the board put together a thank you letter for the EDC that's in the booklet. I don't know if anyone wants to read it out loud, but we'll also publish in the listserv probably tomorrow as a thank you. But it just kind of explains to some degree all the great work the EDC did over the years, the value to Woodstock, the value to people who now use the services from the daycare center to other events, and just really these group of volunteers who came together, spent a lot of the time and energy on trying to better Woodstock. So just want to say thank you and for all the service.
Yeah, I think we'll, for the few remaining here, but we have a lot on Zoom. I'll read it. So it says, "Dear members of the Economic Development Commission, on behalf of the Town Select Board and Village Trustees, we share our sincere appreciation for your dedication and service to the community. Since the organization's establishment, the members of the Economic Development Commission, EDC, have played a critical role in boosting the economic and cultural vitality of Woodstock for residents, visitors, and merchants alike. You have consistently demonstrated thoughtfulness and creativity in your design and implementation of economic development initiatives. The EDC has been intentional in its approach, building on Woodstock's strengths while responding to the ever-evolving needs of the town, focusing on affordable housing, childcare, marketing, downtown beautification, and community events has yielded tangible and meaningful results. Several of the EDC's most impactful initiatives involved the creation of grant funding, opportunities to support what defines Woodstock, events like Wausau Weekend and Pride of Woodstock, and amenities such as mountain bike trails and village flower baskets. Studies were also commissioned to analyze residents' most pressing concerns, such as increased housing options and growth of small businesses. Work culminated in a visionary and action-oriented document, Our Woodstock, Our Future, that other local leaders continue to reference today. Additionally, the EDC prioritized direct engagement with the residents they served in a variety of circumstances. In response to a longstanding need of local families, financial support was given to increase capacity at child care facilities. The EDC was also able to address unfamiliar needs that emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic, supporting businesses and their workers, as well as investing in outdoor public spaces. Forward-thinking incentive programs were used to expand housing rental units and support business startups, addressing related problems simultaneously. The Woodstock Economic Development Commission was an active and engaged body whose commitment cannot be overstated. We thank you for helping lay a strong foundation for Woodstock's vibrant and resilient future, and hope that each of you will continue to stay involved in municipal affairs as these goals and objectives move forward. With gratitude, the Town of Woodstock Select Board. I have a motion that we all sign that letter.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roger?
Roger Logan, Woodstock. I know this is a long night. I think that the Economic Development Commission and the people on it served as very valuable R&D for many things. Somebody said earlier that the money spent on housing might have been wasted. I hope I'm not misquoting, but I think what it did, as John said, is it proved that even though we got some people in houses, which is a good thing in and of itself, it proved that going forward in a kind of piecemeal basis was not ultimately going to move the dial. So I think the EDC did serve as an R&D function for the town, and I think that was a very valuable one. And I hope we continue to reach out to some of the people who were on that board, commission, going forward.
Thanks, Roger. I just want to build off that comment and say that I have to thank John for his leadership on that commission, especially. This was my first entree into Woodstock civic life, was going to EDC meetings. But I also agree with you, Roger. I don't think that money has been wasted. I think that we've learned so much from what we've been able to do, and everything we are doing now is building on what we've learned and what these volunteers have built. And I'm immensely grateful for that.
All those in favor of the letter?
Oh, we gotta finish the vote.
I think we, oh, sorry. Yep, sorry, John. I didn't see you back there.
That's right. Since we're taking minutes, I just. No, I just want to say that thank you, and I'm going to send a note to the EDC members, which I'll post on the listserv tomorrow. But I want to also thank you for, I think first, and I want the minutes to reflect this. It's too bad that there's not many people left here. That the transition process, which has been a year, starting with the communication of asking us to pause, through to the evaluation of and the hiring of a full-time economic director, and continuing after her arrival in terms of developing plans and reaching out to EDC members and so forth, has been smooth and transparent and professional. And I think I'll speak for everyone on the EDC in saying that we appreciate that. So good job. Thank you. And what my letter will end with tomorrow, just so you hear this from me in person, is now it's time for us to transition to the next model, and we're going to lend a hand to Abby whenever she needs it. So
Thank you, John.
Sorry, let me do.
Abby Sherman, Economic Development Director. I just felt like I needed to make the comment. I came in and I hadn't seen the EDC in action. I did a lot of, following up with John on what did they do, and a lot of reading and all of that. And I was thoroughly impressed by the work that they did as a town committee. Having worked in a couple of complex state programs, I was just blown away by the programs that they had developed for housing and how complete they were, how thought out that they were. So I felt like I needed to say that. They worked clearly very hard. And then right down to during COVID, I worked for the state during COVID too. And so it was heartwarming to see how far they went to help out the community during that time. And then in conversations with John about daycare, and finding that daycares were not taking advantage of this program they had created. So they actually reached out and worked with them to see how they could use those funds. It was great to see.
Letter thanking the EDC.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So it was a little cart before the horse because now we're voting on whether we should disband the EDC after we've thanked them.
Thank you.
Going to the bathroom.
Okay, we still have a quorum.
Yes.
Yeah. So is there a motion regarding the disbandment of the economic development?
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you again, John.
You've been disbanded. Housing Economic Development Strategy.
She's back.
She's back. You have less people in the room.
I think this is the last thing for me on the agenda too. So Abby Sherman, Economic Development Director. So you have been provided with a proposal from me about, I'm sorry, it's late and I'm tired. A housing and economic development strategic plan. I wanted to put this forth as the board is looking at ways to best utilize the Economic Development Fund, the Local Options Tax Fund, and just to encourage you to think about how the local options tax can support the business community, particularly through investments that create lasting solutions and long-term economic impact. The joint board has identified key priorities related to this proposal, developing a 5-year housing plan, strengthening off-season tourism through more robust marketing, and supporting ongoing economic development efforts. So there are a number of ways that this can be met, and we are working on various ways to do that. The marketing committee has been created. We have an updated MOU with the chamber, and we've just talked about creation of a housing group. So this is a proposal that would further advance those priorities, which would be to contract with an outside consultant to help develop this plan. The process would bring together community groups and stakeholders through a visioning effort to help define Woodstock's economic direction. We would go through a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the result would be a roadmap, as I mentioned earlier. It wouldn't be a report that sits on a shelf. We have enough of those. This would identify actionable initiatives. It would guide strategic investment and coordinate efforts across public, private, and community partners. Ultimately, it will help shape future goals and decisions for the joint board and support Woodstock's long-term economic vitality. I'm estimating this would be about a 6-month process. I don't want this to take forever. I want it to be fast. 6 months may be too long for me, really. But a maximum of 6 months with a one-time investment of $35,000 from the local options tax to pay for this. And then it would take the priorities of the joint board and turn them into concrete steps to move Woodstock forward.
Try to pull some rough numbers, because it asks us for this to come out of the local option tax economic development fund. We're estimating about $285,000 being allocated from that fund, this year or year over year. Last year, for reference, we brought in about $420,000 in that account. That 285 includes the water bond, the marketing coordinator, Abby, website updates, and an allocation to the chamber just to be safe. I take the chamber allocation out of that, we're down to about $235,000 per year. So there is money available in that fund, and we also have a surplus in that fund from not usage to year over year, just so you have a full reference of the funds available in that.
Questions or comments from the board?
Good idea.
I'll just say, I'm a big fan of this, Abby. As I think you know, I'm done talking about the need for housing. And so seeing us take some action around it brings me great joy.
Questions, comments from the public? Wendy?
Thank you. Wendy Marinan Village. I have a question for clarification. We have a 1% options tax on retail sales, and we have a 1% option tax on rooms and meals. And if I'm not mistaken, some of the retail sales fall outside the village. Correct me if I'm wrong. So my question is, when we speak about how are we tracking? I know that when the vote went in for the 1% options tax on rooms and meals, it was designated for economic development. That was the EDC's budget. Now we're using it a little differently to the same goal of economic development. How, when you say local options tax and the money you represent, is the retail sales, the other 1% we voted in, secondly for infrastructure, in this conversation? Or how are we keeping track of the two? And just clarification.
Yeah, they are separated, and one is for economic development and one is for infrastructure. So the retail sales 1% is not included in these figures.
Okay, so and did not the village trustees, just for clarification, vote on using some of that 1% for for water infrastructure? Is that true? Am I making that up, Eric?
The select board, the select board is the only ones that spend or allocate that 1%.
Both of them?
Yes, both 1% taxes are implemented by the select board.
Okay,
because there are also rooms and meals generated in South Woodstock,
Right,
other, not just in the village.
Okay,
West
so
Woodstock.
they're being handled separately. And tonight, right now, we're only speaking about the rooms and meals income when Eric Ray spoke those figures. Okay, that was the clarification I needed. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Okay. Do we have a motion regarding the housing economic development strategy?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Abby.
Setting the advertising fees for woodstockvt.com.
I can talk to that if you want.
Yeah. Does that, yeah, marketing committee liaison.
Again, this was done in collaboration with, I shouldn't say collaboration, in consultation with the chamber. So we to just kind of cut to the chase, we decided there would be up to 10 advertisements on the website at any given time. A purchase of an advertisement would be for a 3-month period, renewable depending on demand. And the cost for that 3 months would be $1,500. Chamber members get a 50% discount. So that would be $750 for chamber members. And that's it in a nutshell.
Do you want to come up with a comment, or you?
Yeah, I have comments.
Okay.
At what point?
You might just, the chamber's part of this, so I think your comments are appropriate now.
Yeah, you guys can sit together if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing that I'm not clear on is why we're not going to have ads on the homepage.
I don't want to speak for the committee. I think I can address the conversation that ads on the homepage are not something that would be best practices in digital marketing. It's distracting. It makes the site look spammy. It's just not best practices.
I'll disagree kindly with you on that. But the way the ads are designed and the website, that the ads don't look like ads. So it's not something it's not like they're banner ads or uh, on the side. So it's a.
I mean, it's a judgment call. I believe this was voted on by the marketing committee. And I mean, people can disagree. From my perspective, it would be a very poor practice. Because it makes the site look like an advertising site. It makes it look like one of those menus that's got all the businesses around it that people give out for some reason or other.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting having the ad that looks like the other ads that we're going to have.
I mean, that's, I can't say.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, it'd be helpful, I guess, Lauren, if you have other suggestions of other sites that have ads on their homepage. I haven't been able to bring one up, in terms, like Manchester and Stowe don't seem to have ads on their homepage as well. I would agree with Roger. I think we have a lot of marketing experts on that committee. And so my inkling is to say, like, is to not give someone like top billing on the website. We do want kind of a holistic view of, we want people to come here and visit and see all there is to offer. And I think be tasteful and yeah, I'm in agreement with Roger on this, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah, I want to make it clear. That I am not here representing the marketing committee. I'm on the marketing committee. I mean, if there's enough question about it, then, you may need to take it back to the marketing committee. I don't know. I mean, I think you'd get the same decision personally, but that's.
In my early conversations with Jess, she emphasized, our marketing director, I think is her title. She emphasized to me that you really need to focus on what's the goal of the website and who's the audience. And the goal of the website is to bring people to Woodstock and have them see what there is to do in Woodstock. And I think a secondary part of that is the revenue that ads might generate for businesses and for the town and the chamber. So I would be inclined to go with what marketing people think as far as where ads should be placed.
I can still do digital marketing company for 25 years. Still over 50 websites.
Okay.
Not lacking in experience.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a preference. I think to Susan's point, we want folks to stay on the website to plan their visit. I think clicking on an ad takes us away from that goal. And so doing what we can to bring as much content to the website for our businesses to make sure it's part of a long and fruitful stay for our guests, that's full of different stops and not just one stop, hopefully, is all of our goal. So I'm okay with this as presented.
And
just clarify that we're adopting this policy in the event that in the future they decide it should change. We could always accept an amended policy, but I think at least getting the opportunity to start generating revenue off this seems to make sense. But yeah.
And somebody mentioned a call for Wendy.
Oh, Wendy?
I don't have mine.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. A couple of questions and then a comment. The first question is, what kind of revenue and are we expecting with advertising on the website? And I'm assuming we're talking about the official Woodstock website, where you've done a beautiful job to whoever did it, organizing the resources that residents need to navigate town life. Which is this the same website we're talking about?
No, it's not. You're talking about the town website was recently revamped by Eric and his staff. We're talking about the woodstockvt.com, which is essentially, it's jointly owned by the chamber and the town, and it has it's primarily visitor focused.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's a huge relief.
Right.
So, I don't think I have to do my comment, but my second question is the revenue goes to who? How does this revenue work?
I think Eric could answer that question.
Half the town and half.
Yeah, so the arrangement we have, the proposal in front of us, Wendy, is ads running for a 3-month period for $1,500. And chamber members get half off, but we also split all of the ad revenue with the chamber because we both co-own the website. You want to speak to where revenue generally goes?
So we meaning town budget?
Correct. Yeah, the town owns half the website, so the town will receive half the revenue. Because this is new revenue, I will go in miscellaneous revenue and general fund, and then next year we'll have our own separate revenue fund for the projected revenue that we think will come in.
Okay. And so kudos to Eric, to the team that has improved the townofwoodstock.org website. It's my
So Wendy,
favorites. It's on my favorites bar.
I love to take credit for things I didn't do, but we sourced that out to a third party vendor.
Okay, well,
so
somebody had to advise them. Anyway, anyway, I'm appreciating it, and I just wanted to share that out now that I've adapted. So, but thank you for clarifying the ad campaign. Again, thank you. I'm into clarification, if you noticed.
Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah.
Is there a motion regarding the policy setting advertising fees for woodstockvt.com?
That motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
If I could just, I want to thank the market committee and the chamber. This has been a 3-4 month process, 5-month process. And there's a lot of work on it, so I appreciate all the work they did.
Yes. And thanks for staying through the end, almost the end of the meeting.
Speaking of which, driveway variance. We have Greg. Yes. And I thought maybe this guy was and are you here for that as well? I thought you might be. Come on up. So this is the driveway variance for 0 Carlton Hill Road.
Yes, so.
Greg, can you just explain why it's 0 Carlton Road?
And introduce yourself.
Why is there what?
Why it's called 0?
Because there's no house there yet. There's no number been assessed to it. Yes, Greg Fullerton, Director of Public Works. My concern with it is the driveway doesn't meet the Vermont Department of Highway Standards sheet B71 profile, which is on our application for a driveway. That being said, they come up with a specific line of sight and measurement as to what you have to have for a line of sight by a speedometer, by the miles per hour, which that area is 35 miles an hour. From a measurement approximate from where they want to put the driveway, the minimum stopping distance and sight distance is supposed to be 250 feet. It's approximately 209 feet. Which is like 40 feet shy of what they have there. And then there's also another stipulation about how far away from an intersection it can be, which is 90 feet. And it measures approximately 245 feet. The intersection has clean line of sight. There's no problem with the intersection on my point of view. The side of view out of the driveway is, in my opinion, it's okay, but it's not what the state regulations say. So that's why I didn't sign off on it, and that's why it's in front of you guys.
Is there
There's some trees that can be removed. There's some trees that can be removed, and Matthew was willing to do that. Some of the other stuff is actually on another person's property. It's a bend in the land. It's not all trees. He will improve upon the site, the vision of sight, to a certain degree, but it's not all the way, and he can't because it's not his land.
And from my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carlton Hill is not a heavily trafficked road. Does it tend to be a cut through for anything?
Yeah, school traffic mainly. Not as heavily traveled as some, but yeah, and the intersection is not heavily traveled. It's Grove Hill. There's not many people up there. It's a dead end. The intersection is minimal. Line of sight would be the concern. But they've moved the driveway, proposed driveway up a ways to add to this. And they still have one more hurdle with what? You got to go through something with the state to get your full law adjustment, I believe, permit for the house. But this is the next step, is the driveway.
I was just gonna ask Eric, can we just put the map on the screen, just so I know where it is on Carlton Hill?
Yeah.
Or so everyone in the meeting.
Right across from the old reservoir where Grove Hill is.
Help me out, Greg.
Up Carlton Hill.
Yeah. Okay, okay. I see it. Okay.
So we're talking about 41. You're not as concerned about the intersection, but it's the 41 feet. Oh, sorry, 41 feet
Shy of line of vision
line of vision.
and stopping distance. Within reason. If someone's going 35, it's just a line of sight. And I personally, good thing you're here. Personally, I probably more confirmed than a lot of driveways here. It's just, this thing is what we go by for the driveway.
But I was going to say, I'd hate to go to some houses that have been in existence for a while.
That are worse than this, absolutely. Yep.
Have there been any discussions with the neighbors to help abate the visibility issue?
Not yet, no. My name is Matthew Paul. I currently live in Boston. I'm hoping to move full-time to Woodstock. I have family ties to Vermont, New Hampshire.
Probably serve on one of these boards after tonight.
And this town is in between my fiance's family and my family. And so, yeah, this lot is a good option for us. I'm a builder and work with some companies in the state. And yeah, the driveway, thank you, Greg, for being here and for all your help. It's not something that I noticed or saw when I first got there or would have expected, but I do see the potential danger. And I think most of that danger lies if people are going 70 miles an hour down that street. It'd be dangerous for everybody. But yeah, that's where we're at. I've been moving fairly quickly through this process. So I've not spoken to any neighbors yet. We have the town development review board meeting next week. And we'll be applying for the state. So no, we have not spoken to the neighbors yet. It's all, I got on this meeting quite last minute, but willing to do so to make it an opportunity.
Would you be willing to install some mirrors to help show as you're approaching? I've seen that done in a few places. I'm not sure if the specific site would be amenable to that.
Certainly. I mean, from my perspective, I'd be open to doing whatever is needed to make it safe, especially if I'm moving there and raising children. I would hope it's as safe as possible. So yeah, whatever is needed.
I would mention it's only one direction that it's short. The other direction is plenty of line of sight.
Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the driveway variance at 0 Carlton Hill Road?
I'll make a motion to approve variance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right. Thank you for your patience
you,
waiting
Greg.
for this entire meeting.
Appreciate it. And welcome to Woodstock.
You said you're a builder, right?
How many more houses can you build on that land?
We got your email.
Okay. Delegation of accounts payable warrant review and approval. This is something that Ray has been diligently doing. It involves coming to town hall and comparing checks and statements and signing up. Yep. And I'm not adverse to taking it on as long as I have a backup for when I can't do it. So
Happy to be.
or if somebody else wants to do it and I'm happy to not do it as well.
And if I could just say for a brief second, just to give context. This is one of the things where reliability is necessary. We need someone to come in and sign them the moment they're done so we can send the checks out. And sometimes we need someone to come in earlier if there's a check that needs sent out earlier or it's time sensitive. So it's someone that we have to really rely on to come in at a set time every week and then potentially be available for special occasions as well. So I just want to make sure it's one of those things that like we need someone reliable and dedicated to doing it.
You know, I'm not always reliable, so.
I was gonna say, I have in the past, I take the warrants home after the checks are separated, so I can do them at home, and I have in the past emailed Robert and said, you can mail the checks out, and then drop the warrants off.
You're really selling it, right?
Yeah. So who is first of all, would anyone like the position
Well,
themselves?
who's not here?
Oh. If not, is anyone willing to be my backup?
I'm willing to be your backup, Susan.
Thank you. So is there a motion?
I will make a motion that we delegate accounts payable warrant review and approval to the chair with a backup as a vice chair.
Second.
Seconded by Cliff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Board meeting schedule. Oh, yay, yeah. We're not gonna have a lot of public input.
Yeah, so I put this on there. When I started over 3 years ago, there were 2 set meetings each month. One Tuesday morning, I think it was the first Tuesday of the month or the second Tuesday of the month, and then the third, first and the third. We got rid of that because at the time we thought we didn't need more than 1 meeting a month. Since the select board has been so active over the last 3 years, what has happened is we've just created special meetings kind of ad hoc where we wanted them to get things done, which is efficient in the way of like we could set a meeting, get it done, but it's not efficient in the way of trying to schedule things over and over again and waste everyone's time. So my thought was one of 2 ways. One was to have a set second meeting scheduled. And then if we didn't need it, we could always cancel it, but everyone on the board would know at this point every month to block it off to be available. The other would be to kind of set up a procedure where one meeting would be discussion, the next meeting would be a vote. So so anything would take a month to go through the process. You have meeting 1, discussion, meeting 2, vote, and then if there's an emergency in between, we can make a recommendation. But the hope would be if we had 2 set meetings every month, we shouldn't have to have special meetings, which could be ease everyone's life a little bit. My recommendation, if we're going to have 2 meetings, would be to either try to have it during the day or earlier in the evening, so we're not here late. I think we keep their normal 6 p.m. one, but 4 or 5 p.m. or 8, 9, 10 in the morning, like would be my recommendation. But there are meetings, so I'll leave it to the board for.
I mean, yeah, I'd be supportive of having 2 scheduled per month where we would plan to be able to vote at both and cancel the second if we don't need it. Sounds like the most efficient to me.
And I think you and Laura have the busiest schedule, so timing of that second meeting as far as time of day, what would work, like 9, trying not to have staff here as second nighttime meeting if possible.
Yeah, I mean,
I can do the evenings, like I do enough meetings versus special meetings that my preference would not to be, but if it's easier for everyone, I can do it at a meeting.
I think maybe not to sign myself up for more night meetings. I would personally prefer to have one alternating day and night. But maybe for the first few meetings, we meet consistently at 6 p.m., given that we've had feedback that people can't come during the day, but open to being persuaded otherwise.
I think if anything, this opens it to, I mean, I imagine there's people that can't make it at night either.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. That's true.
Yeah, I think,
I think.
yeah, but the 8:30 start, I think would probably be ideal for me. I mean, I still have a job that I have to do. So it's not-
None of us have jobs.
Usually, yeah. But anyway, just early enough that we don't get in the middle of the day, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so one early morning and one evening.
Okay, so right now you meet the third Tuesday. We'll keep that at 6 PM. Is there first week, the second week? Is there,
I would think the first week makes sense.
Yeah, it's staggered. That way we have a 2-week gap between them, you know.
do you want to keep it on a Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday?
I think be as consistent. Do we?
Yeah, the Tuesday was fine.
Especially since previously it was Tuesday.
Okay, so the first Tuesday
Yeah.
of the month, 8:30 in the morning.
Is that okay for drop off?
Yeah, I can do 8:30. I could be here at probably 8:15 if I needed to, but I'm not.
We're here doing 8:14.
Yeah.
So 8:30, first Tuesday of the month. Okay, so do you want to start this on April
7th?
7th, or do you want to wait until May?
I'd go to May.
Do we have enough for 2 meetings in April?
Well, we already
We're
have.
already starting like 2 special meetings, so maybe.
Okay, so then yes.
Yeah,
So then yes.
April 1st.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So let's do May.
May.
Okay,
Okay.
So do we need to vote? Do we need to vote on that?
so if you vote on it, it will then become a regularly scheduled meeting. So that will kick in. Agenda has to be posted 48 hours ahead of time. If we can't do it, we have to cancel it. So it's kind of just vote on it and becomes official scheduled meeting now until you vote otherwise. So it's fine. It kicks in the open meeting law a little more stricter. So
Okay.
Well, I think we're trying to be, I think we're trying to be predictable, so I don't know why we wouldn't vote on it and make it official.
Yep.
So, is there a motion?
I make a motion to move our to add a regularly scheduled meeting and to have our new meeting schedule, host a 8:30 meeting on the first Tuesday of the month and a 6 PM meeting on the third Tuesday of the month.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Approval of minutes. I should say I had some changes on the March 4th, just, it had me making motions and I didn't make motions. I think maybe Laura and our voices sound similar or something. I don't know. So, Kitty has revised the minutes to make that change. Is there a motion regarding the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for February 17th, February 19th, March 4th, and March 10th.
There a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, and I'm abstaining from the one I wasn't here for. February 19th.
Motion passed.
Yeah, motions, so motion for carries for the rest, for all of them, with one abstention. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.